I'm 55 years old this year, and even now, I still don't understand what I'm living for. My life is a failure. While I was sinking into negative thoughts, loud noises echoed from outside the cave. Why am I such a failure? One by one, monsters entered. The weary man stood up, grabbed his sword, and rose again, the feeling of self-blame surfacing. Can't even catch a breath, huh? The monsters bared their sharp fangs and charged at the man. Other players from my generation are called sword gods, sword saints, or whatever. The man charged at the monsters without hesitation. And me? I'm just called an old man with a sword or the forgetful swordsman. That's all the recognition I've ever received. Isn't that reason enough? He recalled a memory from his childhood. He witnessed a woman being held high by a monster. Despite her constant screaming, "Let go, I don't have a family, I grew up in an orphanage," she was already wounded but still tried to tell Sanjian, "Don't be afraid, I'm fine. Run." Right after saying that, the monster crushed her head to pieces. Blood sprayed onto the crying boy's face. Even the caretaker from the orphanage, screams for help surrounded the boy and the other kids, those like family to him. A pair of giant hands were about to grab his head. They had all died when the Skyfall event struck our world. Monsters poured down like rain and took everything from me. But even then, I didn't give up. He spoke slowly. Standing on the border between life and death, suddenly a girl appeared before him, holding a massive sword. She smiled kindly and asked, "Are you okay?" Tears of joy streamed down his face, happy that someone was still there to protect others. Deep down, he believed a miracle had happened. Back to the present, he gripped the massive sword and slashed it down on the monster's head. I was saved by that symbol, and I wanted to be like them, he thought. I gave it everything I had, so why? He fought while questioning himself. A massive goblin-like creature roared and charged at him. Damn it, no matter how many I kill, I never get stronger. The image of himself cradling the body of a comrade flashed in his mind. Powerless, unable to protect anyone. In a vast space filled with corpses and weapons, he howled in despair under the blue sky. Returning to the current fight, he had just finished off the monsters that charged in earlier. Breathing heavily, he muttered, "Man, I'm beat. You get it now, right?" He placed a hand on his oversized sword, breathing heavily. "My body's about to give out. This isn't looking good." Suddenly, the ground shook violently. He looked up to see a massive dragon staring him down. Sanjian wondered, "Is this a dream?" The dragon let out a deafening roar and began gathering energy for a powerful fire attack. Deep down, he thought of his lack of a real home, no family. "My life has been such a failure, full of regrets I can't shake off." Frustrated by this cruel fate, he muttered, "Screw it. I want to go back." Scene change, after the battle. A huge slash had cleaved the ground. All around were the bodies of massive monsters. Sanjian was busy pulling his massive sword from the head of a beast. Suddenly, a voice rang in his head. "Congratulations, you have conquered the ancient dragon's dungeon." Gripping his sword tightly, he sighed wearily. "Seriously? I'm almost 60 and still working my butt off." This was Xian Sanjian, a swordsman with 30 years of experience. His best achievement? Ranking in the top 100 of his homeland, which meant he was a nobody. There were just too many players in the world. He glanced beside the ancient dragon and saw a pink book. A bit embarrassed, he muttered, "Is this the reward? A skill book?" He had eaten artifacts before, so maybe he could consume this one too. As he held the book hesitantly, a voice suddenly said, "The late blooming honor student constellation has entered." A portal opened, and a boy holding a book jumped out from nowhere. The constellation cheerfully praised his efforts and complimented his perfect finishing blow. This constellation was Sanjian's contract star, the late blooming honor student. "Haha, thanks," he said. "I'm grateful he made a contract with someone like me, just a low-tier warrior." Once a player reaches level 850, all artifact and title stats are doubled. At level 900, they triple. Sanjian's current level? 650. He looked troubled. "Because of this ridiculous condition, I haven't seen any benefit from our contract yet." Level 850? The system chimed in again. "The late blooming honor student suggests you eat the skill book." He chuckled. "Yeah, I was planning to eat it. Here goes." His only unique skill since awakening. Artifact Devour. To understand this power, he'd tried cooking and eating various artifacts. Nothing seemed to work. After decades of failed attempts, 30 years had passed. It wasn't until he synced mana with a matching tier artifact that his Artifact Devour finally activated. But by then it was too late. Others had grown strong right after awakening. Frustrated, he tossed the book aside. Shouldn't this thing come with some kind of guide or something? No way, this is a skill book. The system apologized, saying there was limited information available on this type of skill. But you still have time. Time, he shouted tearfully. Who says I have time? I'm almost 60. The system went silent. If I had a kid at 30, they'd be 30 now. If I had them earlier, I'd be a grandpa by now. The system tried to apologize, but he shook his head. No, you didn't do anything wrong. My life has been full of regrets. I can't forget that man's back. I tried to become like him, but now I'm just tired. Too old. If I were just a bit younger, he said. The system smiled. Well, I was planning to retire anyway, he said. Make a note. I'm canceling the contract. Go find someone else. What you're witnessing is the constellation's final agreement with me at age 55. The late blooming honor student activated the full potential of the essence you've touched. Begin rewind. Scene shifts to Park Dong-min, speaking about dungeons and gates. These are the basic environments where awakened individuals, aka players, do their jobs, right? Exactly, replied Han Huyong, CEO of Huidong Corporation. You could say dungeons are a launching pad for players. And gates? They're dimensions connecting to unknown zones. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and realized he was watching TV, where Han Huyong and Park Dong-min were talking. That unknown area is where players must explore first. So, what do you think about this year's dungeon? Dong-min asked. The protagonist, Sanjian, sat on his mattress, sharpening his familiar sword. So, I really did rewind. It had been a long time since he'd watched this show. He summarized what had happened earlier. I've grasped the situation, but even after 4 days, I'm still confused. The truth was, he had traveled 30 years back in time. After waking up from his rewind, Sanjian looked around, still dazed. When I opened my eyes, I was in my old apartment from 30 years ago. He stared at his youthful hand and said, This isn't my 55-year-old body anymore. I'm 25 again, but I still have all my memories from before I rewound time. No matter how I look at it, this rewind must have been because of the constellation's magic. There's no other explanation. After pondering, he casually flipped a dagger in the air to test the feel. Well, whatever. I guess I should head out and get to work. Venom's dagger, an artifact-grade bronze weapon, single-handed class with 7 attack effects. Speed plus 10. It's a defensive dagger that doesn't dull easily. Though it's a low-rank item, I know its hidden skill. Its absorption rate is fixed. 4 bronze-tier artifacts, the base absorption rate is 10%. However, based on my previous experience using it, the system increased the absorption rate to 20%. Even though the absorption rate is low due to lack of long-term use, the important part is the hidden skill. Mana synchronization with Venom's dagger has begun, initiating entry into the unconscious space. This unconscious space is where I have to pass through in order to consume the artifact. I always get nervous here, not knowing what dish might appear. Preparation for Venom's dagger absorption, complete. Grilled barbecue chicken with olive oil? Nice, it's just a normal dish. I was worried it'd be something like swamp slug stew. But this I can handle. Venom's dagger absorption has started. You've gained +2 speed. Hidden skill acquired, Demon Step, from Venom's dagger. The item has been completely consumed and erased. A pity, but I wasn't using it anyway. I absorbed exactly the skill I was aiming for. Time to move on. Dungeon number 85, Yun Daekyung's squad. Captain, what brings the gatekeeping squad leader here? One of my members got pulled out, he replied. He just joined 4 days ago. His name is Exian Sanjian. Don't worry about Exian Sanjian. He's been transferred to the player squad. What? He joined the player squad, not the gatekeepers. I'm the one who approved it. Is there a problem? Of course there's a problem. He only just awakened, and he hasn't even graduated from the player academy yet. You can't throw a kid like that into your squad. It'll mess up our entire balance. How am I supposed to assign tasks now? Oh please, Daekyung said with a smirk. Didn't I already sort everything out? Like squad leaders and contribution allocation systems. Ha ha ha, of course my bad. TCH. If you let those gatekeeping punks open their mouths, all they'll talk about is balance. What nonsense. But sir, why'd you even accept that guy? I didn't expect it either. What? You too? Ha, if anyone's gonna die, it'll be him. Not us. Let him be reckless and die, so the gatekeepers can shut up, and we keep our worth. What can a level 1 newbie even do, right? Haha, didn't realize that's what you were planning. Exai and Sanjian appeared. Hello. Starting today, I'll be working as a player. My name is Exai and Sanjian. Everyone stared. I kind of expected it, but they're not even trying to hide their expressions, huh? Finally, our rookie is here. Sanjian, right? Nice to meet you. Thought you'd show up late on your first day as a player. That weapon of yours a longsword? Yep. I learned from watching a lot of videos on YouTube. Longswords are one of the hardest types to master, you know? I'll do my best to protect myself. Just trust me. Haha, I like that spirit. Good, real good. A man's gotta have that kind of fire. All right, let's start conquering the dungeon. Let's go. All right, once inside, stay close to the gate. No, I'm gonna see how many I can kill today. Haha, that I don't know, but I bet I'll kill more than you. He learned from YouTube? That's hilarious. He thinks dungeons are a joke. He's getting cocky just because he awakened and became a player. Looks like he's got a death wish. Anyway, according to my strategy guide, the orc dungeon is like a crying wall for rookies. He'll find out soon where he stands. That fool, that absolute fool. A monstrous figure stood in the middle of the battlefield. A muscular, moss-green creature with bulging muscles. It was an orc, the kind we usually only see in games, novels, or fantasy films. We're so used to them that we tend to underestimate them. But right there on the battlefield, a flag fluttered in the wind. Fallen orcs lay scattered. Weak, yes, compared to dragons or stronger monsters. But still, rookie players who get too cocky often charge into battle against orcs without thinking. A blazing warrior charged toward an orc, yelling, "Here I come." Orcs are straightforward monsters. But before the guy could do anything, the orc grabbed his face with a single hand. Standing 250 centimeters tall, weighing 180 kilograms, the orc lifted him up effortlessly. The warrior struggled and screamed, "Let go!" But the orc's overwhelming strength was on full display. Its eyes glowed red, and then blood sprayed everywhere. That's why orcs earned the nickname Wailing Wall. The squad returned to town after the battle. A black-haired soldier turned to Exai and Sanjian and said, "Hey, you don't get any special treatment just because you're new. From now on, take care of yourself." The gatekeeping squad captain walked behind them with a sneer. Just awakened and already acting like a player. The arrogant rookie Exai and Sanjian heard it and turned around. Scratching his face awkwardly, he replied, "I'll do my best." Internally, he thought, no one's nice to the new guy, huh? The black-haired soldier started lecturing him. It's not about doing your best. It's about doing it right. Doing your best, my ass. Sanjian ignored the attitude and asked eagerly, "So, if we meet monsters, can I fight on the front lines?" "Huh, you out of your mind," the black-haired soldier scoffed. Then his face went pale as he noticed something. "Orc, there's an orc behind us." Out of nowhere, a monster orc had appeared. Upon seeing the enemy, Sanjian's heart raced. It was his first real battle since the rewind. Excited, he drew his sword. "Leave it to me." But the black-haired soldier ignored him and charged the monster himself, using his shield to block its attack. He then turned back and barked, "You idiot. You're too slow for that heavy sword." Sanjian stood to the side, watching the guy struggle to hold off the orc's blows. He calmly muttered, "You don't need to help me." "Then shut up and prove your skill," the soldier shouted. But he kept talking more than he was fighting. Sanjian finally spoke up. Okay. Look in front of you." The soldier kept running his mouth. "You should be grateful, rookie." Just as he turned back, the orc's axe came swinging down toward his face. Too late to dodge, the blade came dangerously close to his eyes. Luckily, Yoon Daekyung arrived just in time, ramming the monster with his shield and saving the man. The powerful blow knocked the orc backward. After launching the orc, Yoon turned to them and scolded, "Are you two here to play around? Focus." The black-haired soldier quickly apologized. "I'm sorry." Someone else exclaimed, "Whoa, amazing. That orc's charging again." Daekyung entered battle stance and told everyone, "Fall back. I'll handle it." The furious orc attacked again, but Daekyung blocked the strike with his shield, then pierced the monster with his sword. "This is nothing." Green blood flowed from the wound. The others behind him cheered, "Nice job, Captain." He pierced its heart. "Is it dead?" Just as they thought it was over, the orc's eyes lit up with a bright red glow. Despite its injury, it roared and swung its axe, smashing the ground. Daekyung barely leapt back in time. He yelled, "It's still alive." Sanjian observed silently. Yun Daekyung is probably the highest level one here. But he's only about level 50, and he can't even land a critical hit on that thing. Daekyung, frustrated, charged again. Damn it, take this. Using all his strength, he stabbed the sword into the monster and shouted, "Die!" The monster finally collapsed. Everyone gasped. He really killed it. He took down an orc by himself. Daekyung turned back, humbly saying, "It's nothing. You guys all right?" They started praising him. "You're so reliable, Captain." Just as he was speaking, a loud sound echoed in the distance, drawing everyone's attention. A massive group of monsters was approaching. Everyone screamed in horror. Elite orcs. Armored orcs. "Captain, what do we do?" Knowing they couldn't win this fight, Daekyung made a quick decision. "We should retreat to ensure the team's safety." Inside, he panicked. "We barely handled one orc. Now there's a whole pack?" At that moment, Sanjian stepped forward. "Can I try?" Everyone stared at him like he'd lost his mind. "What did that guy just say?" "Xan Sanjian, are you nuts?" "Sorry, Captain. I should have trained him better." One soldier apologized. Daekyung tried to reason with him. "Sanjian, I know you're excited since you just awakened, but..." Before he could finish, Sanjian dashed past him at lightning speed. "Hey, you'll die." Too late. Sanjian had already sliced an elite orc in half with a single swing. Half its body fell to the ground. He looked at the corpse in awe. Heavy swords are amazing. Everyone broke into a cold sweat. Wait, what just happened? Did Sanjian just slice an elite orc in two? Even with a heavy sword, that was insane. And Sanjian wasn't even satisfied. Is it because I'm still level 1? That slash didn't feel as smooth as I expected. A player stat screen popped up. Name, Xan Sanjian. Level 1. Title, Constellations chosen. Unique skill, Artifact Devour. Artifact consumed. -1 HP, 200 max HP, 20 XP, plus 40 EXP. The remaining elite orcs roared in fury and charged at Sanjian. Before the fight, he had to introduce himself. "My level might be low, but I've got experience." He tightened his grip on the sword and started slashing through them one by one. One monster dropped from above, aiming its axe at him. Sanjian dodged and commented, "You know." Then in a flash, he sliced off the creature's hand and followed up with a deadly strike. "When I was younger, I took down more monsters than I could count." Everyone around was dumbfounded. Is that really Xan Sanjian? He might actually wipe them all out. He looked at the final enemy, taunting it. "You're the last one, huh?" Armored orc. The enormous monster growled and charged. Sanjian's body lit up with a glowing blue aura. As they clashed, his eyes sparkled fiercely. Blow after blow came down like a storm, but his blade only scratched its thick skin. Daekyung cried out, "Its hide's too thick. Your attacks won't work." The monster's eyes glowed red. "This is bad," someone yelled. But Sanjian suddenly vanished behind the creature. He grinned confidently, "Relax." The armored orc started trembling. A system message appeared. Skill activated. Demon Slam LV.1. Effect. Stuns target, human or monster, for 2 seconds. Cooldown 15ths. Success rate and duration vary based on target's resistance. Sanjian smiled, "Stay right there." Then the monster screamed in pain. Blood sprayed. Everyone stared in shock as the orc's head landed in front of Daekyung. What did I just witness?" he muttered, stunned. He stared at Sanjian. He awakened only 3 days ago. And that skill, wasn't that a high-level ability? Even elite players can only stun for 1.5 seconds. A faint smoke rose from Sanjian's body. Daekyung stood there speechless. He's using a heavy sword, like he's been wielding it for years. Should I ask what YouTube channel he watched? Cold sweat poured down his face. A high-tier skill, and he took down an armored orc. But he just awakened. Where'd he get a skill like that? Sanjian's hair fluttered in the wind. Suddenly, a system notification popped up. "Congratulations, you have leveled up. You have met the conditions for a new title. Title granted, Fearless Pup, rank E. Effect. +5 evasion when facing mid-bosses or higher." Sanjian leaned on his sword, studying the notification. "I'm not that interested in leveling up, but I didn't expect to get both a title and bonus effects. This solo plaything is really paying off." Another message appeared. "You have unassigned stat points. Please select a stat to enhance." Available points, 1. After some thought, Sanjian decided, "I'll raise my luck." In his past life, he'd realized this too late. The luck stat directly affects skill accuracy and item drop rates. Exactly what he needed now. New notification. Your luck has increased. Daekyung approached from behind and asked, "Are you really?" Xian Sanjian. He looked deeply suspicious. "That skill you used just now, that was stun, right? Where did you learn it?" Sanjian ran some mental calculations. "I just rewound time and used my skills for good. But I still can't tell him the truth." He forced a smile and replied, "I had it right when I awakened." Daekyung clearly didn't believe him. "Do you even hear yourself? That makes no sense. What? Did you get lucky and find a diamond tier artifact or something?" His eyes narrowed, focusing on Sanjian's sword. "Or maybe something even higher." Sanjian casually offered him the weapon. "Want to see it for yourself?" Daekyung hesitated, staring at the sword. Eventually, he gave in and took it. "All right then." Item window appeared. Weapon, Greatsword of Brutality. Type, two-handed heavy weapon. Attack power 50. Effects none. Description, a basic heavy sword with no special abilities. After reading the description, Daekyung's jaw dropped. "Huh, this really is just a regular greatsword." Sanjian smiled, "Told you. Took your brain a second to catch up, huh? So the skill really is yours." Daekyung's expression darkened. Inside, he cursed, "Damn it. I've raided dungeons for 2 years, hit level 50, and my skills still don't match his. At this rate, when we divide the loot." A soldier shouted from afar, "Captain." The mid-boss just appeared. The blonde soldier looked toward Daekyung, concerned. "Captain." Daekyung's face tensed. "Yeah, let's go." Before leaving, he turned back to Sanjian and said, "Thanks to you, we handled the small fry easily. But don't get overconfident and end up dead. That cool skill of yours won't mean anything against the demon orc we're about to face." That last line made Sanjian's eyes sharpen. He smirked. "I nearly forgot the reason I joined this squad after rewinding." He called out, "Captain Daekyung." Without turning back, the man replied, "What? You scared?" Sanjian cut him off. "If I'm the one who kills the demon orc." Daekyung froze. Sanjian proposed, "Can I claim its artifact as my reward?" Grinning, he added, "This squad distributes loot based on contribution, right?" He'd remembered that much. A flash of his past life came to mind. A glowing red crystal, only obtainable by defeating a demon orc. The red crystal glowed like a tiny sun. But even if you kill the demon orc, the drop rate is extremely low. In his previous life, after their squad failed to kill the monster, they saw another team who had the crystal. Wounded and resting against a wall, Sanjian had seen the celebration. "Whoa, Captain. Congrats." Soldiers gathered around their bald squad leader. "How did you get it?" one asked. "You could make a fortune selling that." The bald man held up the red crystal. Another soldier commented, "Isn't that the unique artifact with the delay skill?" Someone else grumbled, "Hey, don't spit on me when you talk." Hearing that, Sanjian had thought, "Delay. That's the skill I desperately need right now." Back to the present, the room fell silent after Sanjian's bold proposal. He broke the silence himself. "If I'm not mistaken, this squad shares loot based on contribution. If I solo the boss, there shouldn't be a problem, right?" Daekyung stayed silent. Sanjian furrowed his brows. "Getting the delay skill is critical for future events. But most people will see me as just a cocky rookie. No one's going to take me seriously." The blonde and black-haired soldiers exchanged confused glances, scoffing. "Dude, are you crazy?" the blonde muttered. "Who do you think you are?" the black-haired one joined in. "You think just because you killed a few orcs, you can start talking about loot?" Then Daekyung raised a hand. "Enough. Calm down." To everyone's shock, he accepted the deal. "Fine, it's your choice." The two soldiers shouted, "Captain, seriously?" Ignoring them, Daekyung set the terms. "It only applies if we fail to defeat the boss. Only then can you step in, and only then can you claim the artifact." "Got it." Sanjian smiled. "That's easier than I expected," he confirmed. "So I'm staying out of this next fight." Daekyung nodded. "Do whatever you want." With that, he walked away. The blonde and black-haired soldiers hurried after him. "Wait for us, Captain." But inwardly, Daekyung was fuming. That arrogant punk. Acting like he's special just because he has one good skill. He silently swore, "I'll clear this dungeon myself and shut him up. I'll prove that experience is what counts on the battlefield." He opened the door to the next area. A violet light shone across his face. Inside stood a towering monster, its body glowing faintly with a purple aura. System message. You have entered the mid-boss chamber. Boss, demon orc. The monster roared, echoing through the dungeon. A massive beast with purplish skin, bound in heavy iron chains. Embedded in its chest, the red crystal. Daekyung yelled, "Everyone prepare for battle." He tried to reassure himself. It just looks intimidating. From what I've heard, it's actually easy to beat. Then he gave the command, surround it and hit from behind. He smirked, thinking about Sanjian. Fight it solo. Too bad. You won't get the chance. Charging forward, he shouted, I'll take point. But no one knew what happened next. Suddenly, Daekyung was lying flat on the ground, face covered in blood. He struggled to sit up and muttered, What just happened? Sanjian stood to the side, visibly unimpressed. I was a bit worried when they charged in like that. But who would have thought they'd rush it head-on? His mind flashed back to his old squad. This reckless approach was exactly why they had failed in the past. The blonde soldier was helping Daekyung up, trembling. Captain, what do we do now? He was clearly panicking. At this rate, we're all dead. Daekyung stared at the boss monster, frustrated. That elite orc earlier too. Why are they all so strong? Damn it, I knew I shouldn't have trusted those tips I heard at the market. He turned back to his squad and shouted, Forget taking it down today. For now, fall back. Sanjian overheard that and couldn't help but beam with joy. Seeing him smiling so widely, the others were confused. What's up with this guy? Is he out of his mind? Daekyung didn't bother replying to him. He quickly barked orders. Everyone retreat. Its peripheral vision is weak. We'll flank it. The soldiers cheered. Thank goodness. It's just a mid-boss after all. Daekyung walked past Sanjian and asked, And what about you, Exian Sanjian? Sanjian simply nodded. Yes, sir. Daekyung warned him one last time. Don't come crying to me if you die. But Sanjian didn't respond. He just smiled calmly, eyes sharp with determination. Clutching the hilt of his sword, he whispered inwardly, No need to worry. Drawing his blade, he declared, I'm not dying today. The demon orc charged straight toward him. Sanjian's eyes lit up with a brilliant blue glow. Stat-wise, I don't stand a chance against it. But with all the experience I've gained, he swung his sword to parry the orc's attack. The monster roared, slamming down its axe. The blonde soldier watching from a distance muttered, Wait a second, did I just hear that? There was a loud clang. He deflected the axe? He squinted at the scene. He really deflected it. Sanjian shook out his hand. Damn, that stung. His gaze shifted toward the red crystal embedded in the demon orc's chest. Been a while. Red crystal. His eyes narrowed. The reason he was so obsessed with the red crystal? It wasn't just because it was rare. It had a unique synergy with his stun skill and his title ability, Demon Slam. Using Demon Slam would stun the demon orc for 2 seconds. But extending that time? That was the hard part. Still, if he could absorb the artifact, his skill combo would be significantly enhanced. Right now, his main unique skill, Artifact Devour, could potentially combine various effects. After activating Demon Slam, Sanjian didn't waste the opportunity. He unleashed a series of swift, precise strikes on the stunned monster. If I can absorb the delay effect, it'll definitely be possible. Taunting the monster, he smirked. What's the matter? Come on. Enraged, the demon orc roared and lunged at him, eyes blazing with killing intent. Sanjian was thrilled. Perfect. Just what I needed. This was how he would discover the boss's weakness. He slashed into its side, right under its armpit. The demon orc dropped its weapon, howling in pain. System message. Skill activated. Demon Slam LV.1. Target stunned. 2.0 seconds. The monster stood frozen. Daekyung was dumbfounded. Wait, that skill actually works on the mid-boss. That's broken. Sanjian turned to face the paralyzed monster. Yeah, regular orcs are easy, but you? You're a demon orc. Suddenly, a beam of violet energy fired directly at him. He quickly blocked it with his sword, but the impact knocked him back several steps. Crap. I forgot about that. A realization struck him, self-heal. The demon orc's regenerative ability kicked in, breaking the stun early. Worse, the wound on its side began to heal rapidly. Sanjian calculated quickly. I need 15 seconds before I can use Demon Slam again. That's why I need delay. Despite the monster charging at him again, he didn't panic. If I can't stun it again, then I'll just beat it head-on. He leapt up, dodging the orc's blade. Simple enough. His face lit up with excitement. Daekyung was still watching from afar. The blonde soldier tugged at his arm. Captain, we seriously need to leave. Before they could, Daekyung reassessed the situation. Even his skill doesn't work anymore. The stat gap is just too big. So how is he? Sanjian moved with ease, almost playing with the monster. His confident smile never faded. Daekyung couldn't understand how he could still look like that while fighting a boss monster alone. Sanjian grinned. Let's finish this. Daekyung thought to himself, is this guy really a new player? Sanjian's boots scraped across the stone floor as he slid, leaving streaks of white sparks. He looked somewhat somber for a moment, remembering past failures. If I'm weak, then I'll just put everything I have into one strike. He charged. Forget everything else. Just cut down the enemy. Instead of fearing their strength, use it to your advantage. The demon orc closed in, mere inches away. Sanjian bared his teeth and charged forward. The monster's axe shattered, fragments scattering in the air. His blade pierced straight into its heart. The beast screamed. System message, congratulations. You have defeated the mid-boss, Demon Orc. You have leveled up. You have leveled up. You have received a new title, Demon Hunter, rank E. The monster collapsed. A golden light surrounded Sanjian as he leveled up. Title, Demon Hunter. Rank E. Effect. Increases memory recall rate by 5x when facing mid-bosses or higher. Sanjian smiled as he read the effects. Already got 2 titles, huh? This is the benefit of soloing. Daekyung and the squad approached, shocked. They had watched him defeat a mid-boss by himself. Seeing them arrive, Sanjian thought, ugh, now I've got to deal with this awkward situation. He started acting. Phew, I almost died back there. If Captain hadn't weakened it first, I wouldn't have stood a chance. The blonde soldier immediately played along. Yeah, totally. Captain, I knew you had it in you. Daekyung looked over at Sanjian, eyeing him carefully. He started to say something, but then stopped. Silence. Sanjian sighed internally. He's not stupid. He knows what really happened. I'll give him a chance to save face. Daekyung's eyes landed on the red crystal embedded in the fallen monster's chest. He quietly thought to himself, keep your promise. Is that what you meant? Then he smirked bitterly. I lost fair and square. Turning to the team, he ordered. Everyone listen up. We've cleared the mid-boss. Now let's prepare for the final boss. The squad shouted in unison. Yes, sir. As they moved toward the final chamber, the troops chattered with excitement. I told you so. No way that rookie could take down the mid-boss alone. Man, I wish I had that stun skill. Forget it, it didn't even work on the boss. Didn't you see? Left alone, Sanjian dropped the act. He smirked proudly. Well, now that the audience is gone. He looked at the red crystal. Should I try eating this thing now? Xi and Sanjian stood in the void, an unconscious space created by the system. Even he hadn't expected to break through so far. Wow, he thought, this really caught me off guard. The first image to appear before him was a steaming bowl of spicy cold noodles with meat jelly, the signature dish of a master chef. It instantly triggered hunger pangs deep in his gut. Sanjian drooled at the dish in his hand. Will everything really go my way from now on? There's no resisting this legendary combo. Suddenly, the system chimed in. You are now ready to absorb the red crystal. He carefully picked up a piece of meat with his chopsticks and took a bite, initiating the absorption process. Absorption rate based on silver tier, 20% base. Absorbing. Strength and HP increased by +2. New effect acquired, delay. You may now add delay to one of your skills. Seeing that made Sanjian grin in amusement. Why do I feel nervous all of a sudden? I'll attach it to Demon Slam, he said aloud. Effect successfully added. Demon Slam now has delay. When Demon Slam is used before the first stun effect ends, the status can be extended to a second stun. Chance of third stun, 90%. Chance of fourth stun, 60%. Chance of fifth consecutive stun, 30%. Sanjian's eyes sparkled. This changes everything. Without realizing it, he had taken a huge leap forward. He dyed his hair from white back to black and double-checked his skill interface. So I can stun for 4 seconds now? He had previously thought it was just a theoretical possibility, but it actually worked. Suddenly, someone called out, Hey, can we talk? Sanjian turned around. Yes. What's up? Yoon Daekyung, still bloodied from the earlier fight, said, The final boss room is right ahead. Sanjian raised an eyebrow. You want me to go in after you? But Daekyung shook his head. No. If I don't know how to make use of someone like you, I'm not fit to be a squad captain. He offered his hand. Let's work together, Exai and Sanjian. Surprisingly, Sanjian didn't hesitate. Sure, but my terms still stand. Got it, Daekyung chuckled. One of the other soldiers came running. Captain, everyone's ready to enter the boss chamber. Daekyung acknowledged him. Good. Let's go. He didn't seem to notice the jealous glare the soldier gave Sanjian. Still, he rallied the team. Everyone, stay alert. Sanjian picked up on the vibes right away. This guy's definitely plotting something. Meanwhile, Daekyung seemed relaxed. Just some light stretching before we go in. After this, let's grab a drink or something. Sanjian squinted. Did he just glare at me? Dungeon number 85, final boss chamber. There it stood, the furious orc, a hideous beast cloaked in pitch-black skin, its fanged mouth twisted into a permanent snarl. The monstrous body had mutated beyond recognition. This was the boss they were hired to eliminate. Daekyung said, Ahem. Sanjian, I'll go first. You follow closely behind. He didn't want Sanjian to be exposed to unnecessary danger. But Sanjian alone knew the truth. The furious orc actually has lower skill resistance than the demon orc. It's easier to stun. If I keep calm and attack precisely, this should be a breeze. Fueled by that knowledge, Sanjian surged forward. Follow your lead? When have I ever been this confident before? In his youth, he had always been timid. Even in his later years, he had barely survived. Back then, he used to beg HR ladies at the guild, please give me a chance, anything. But now, I can't live that kind of life again. Sanjian went berserk, charging in with no hesitation. I need to change everything, my weak past and my uncertain future. To do that, I'll need to prove myself, right here. Yun Daekyung's jaw dropped. He's a freaking monster. Sanjian pushed forward with overwhelming power. I'll land a 4-second stun. Watch me. System message. Demon Slam LV.1 activated. That one message was all the team needed. Let's go, everyone, they shouted, charging in together. Even though the furious orc fought back fiercely, lashing out with all its strength and flailing its spiked limbs in self-defense, the squad stayed strong. Their unity allowed them to overpower it quickly. Congratulations. You have defeated the final boss, Furious Orc. Dungeon cleared. Red Altar Orc Dungeon. The squad broke into celebration. Wasn't that dungeon way too easy? I didn't even use a single healing potion. Didn't that stun skill come in clutch? I wonder if he's got a private gate or something. Should we ask him? I was gonna ask first. Well, I need the info too. We all gotta eat. Sanjian rolled his eyes as they all started acting friendly. Seriously? I didn't do any of this for you guys. You have leveled up. You have leveled up. New title acquired. Overwhelming Force, rank D. Effect. Increases status effect durations by 10%. Another one? Sanjian grinned. 4-second stuns? That's brutal. In his previous life, he never received a single title. But now, still, he thought to himself, even this doesn't compare to that guy. Du Gyeon, Sword Saint of Korea. Known for collecting more titles than anyone. Wielder of the perfect blade. Hit level 500 just 2 years after the player era began. A true monster I once admired from afar. But maybe, if I start early this time, I'll have a shot. Just then, Daekyung walked over, noticing Sanjian fiddling with something. What are you doing? Sanjian jolted. Stretching, I guess? Daekyung handed him a reward. Here. You earned this. Sanjian was stunned. Wait, what? I said you carried the team today. I've got a sense of fairness, you know? Reward item. Honor badge, bronze rank. Sanjian was speechless. He's giving me a real reward? You possessed or something? He asked. Daekyung laughed. It's just a bronze badge. I can afford to be generous. Still, aren't you being too chill about this? Sanjian muttered. If I hadn't been planning to give it to you, you wouldn't be holding it right now, Daekyung said. Besides, we're never going to see each other again. He paused, then admitted. Even if I don't want to admit it, you really are on a whole different level. Sanjian looked down at the badge. It means a lot. I've really come back to a different world. From behind, the blonde soldier saw their cheerful exchange. His jealousy flared. He's sucking up to that punk just because he flashed some cool skills? I've been loyal to the captain for ages. This isn't fair. Furious, he took out his phone. Screw this. Let's burn together. The trading gate only gives out 200 coins per day. Somehow, he gave me twice as much as others. And I even got extras. The Ring of Fury, it's a bronze tier auxiliary item. A ring-type artifact. Special effects. It glows. That's right, it glows. The ring adds +11 strength and can only be obtained from a berserk orc. It's a ring that triggers uncontrollable rage in the wearer. Sanguine was completely satisfied. Even though it's bronze tier, he couldn't believe he got a glowing artifact for free. The system clarified. Special effect, glow. Description. Consumes 1 mana per second to reduce the perceived weight of all equipped artifacts to 1 gram. He muttered. Now I get why this is silver tier gear. Most players would run out of mana just from swinging their sword, let alone spending 1 per second continuously. I only discovered my ability after 50 years, he continued. But that's exactly why I trained so hard. In my past life, I even gulped down mana-consuming skills like nothing. But the result was unexpected. The special effect of this artifact requires mana, but because of that, its mana cost penalty had disappeared. The system started syncing his mana with the Ring of Fury. Who cares about penalties, he said. The more skills I get, the better. Late at night, near Hun Lake in Gang District, he kept explaining things in a bar. I'm serious. That jerk had a stun skill that lasts 4 seconds. The listener was startled. Who do you think you're raising your voice at? He asked awkwardly. Sorry, man. What did he say to you anyway? Want me to get revenge for you? He still tried to act like it wasn't a big deal. That guy's probably loaded, using all kinds of stun items. Total newbie behavior. Like, what exactly do you want from me, you half-wit? Work. I'm trying to talk about work here. Even Yundekyung likes him, so you do want revenge, huh? The girl next to him egged him on. You're not even close to that guy, right? He kinda looks like a loser anyway. Huh. The guy laughed, but before he could reply. Huh. He had his ear cut off. Blood gushed everywhere. The attacker scoffed. You think we're what, your personal servants or something? He poured alcohol onto the wound to make the pain even worse. Time to pay the price. I'll listen, all right? But it better be worth the value of your ear. Where's that bastard? On a clear, sunny day, Sanguine leisurely strolled around the back of the training grounds. Solitary confinement block B. After circling the area, he sat on the building's steps, letting out a sigh while holding the massive, terrifying greatsword in his hand. He started reminiscing about that cold cucumber soup from the east. Who would have thought cold cucumber soup popped out of the berserker's ring and had a side effect that made everyone who ate it fall apart? Just imagining it made him weak in the knees, his face contorting in disgust. Oh God, my stomach's about to turn inside out. But immediately after, he perked up, a determined voice ringing in his mind. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. With that, Sanguine stylishly flung his sword into the air, spinning it dramatically, his long hair flying as he slayed the air. He caught the blade midair. The sound of gripping the greatsword was oddly satisfying. It felt significantly lighter. A notification popped up. Special effect, always active. No cooldown. Due to the skill artifact Devour, previous mana consumption penalties have been removed. The weight reduction effect has been halved. All equipped artifacts now weigh 100 g. Sanguine clicked his tongue after reading it. Guess I'll stick with the greatsword for now. Still, he worried. What if I accidentally drop it? Pushing the thought aside, he got back to doing what he'd set out to do. This is going to be good. Next, the player info panel for Sin Sanjian appeared, displaying everything in full detail. Titles with overwhelming power, the exclusive skill artifact Devourer, consumed artifacts along with HP, megapoints, EXP stats. All status bars like strength, stamina, and agility were updated across the board. Sanguine thought to himself, time to start drawing the attention of the constellations. His eyes studied the display thoughtfully. Since each player could only have one constellation, he had to choose carefully. Ideally, someone would come up with a figure shrouded in mysterious energy. Someone who synergizes with his best attribute, luck. He lightly swung his sword against the ground and sighed. Well, guess what I'm lacking right now are the numbers to pique the constellation's interest. Almost as if something clicked, his expression changed. He lifted his head and stared at the row of wooden training dummies in front of him, mumbling. So I guess. I just need to train more, right? Scene shift. A white car was tearing down a dusty road, kicking up dirt and gravel. Sanguine stepped out, his face pale. Thought I was going to die in there, he muttered, stretching toward the sky. Guess training for 3 days straight and driving long distance was a bit much. But hey, I got a new skill, so it's fine. A panel popped up. Ambidextrous swordplay. Passive skill, level 1. Increases adaptability with all types of swords, excluding short swords and one-handed longswords. Suddenly, a giant gate wrapped in lightning emerged. Dungeon number 101, solo player exclusive dungeon. Sanguine let out a sigh. Just getting into a solo player dungeon usually meant waiting in line for months. The fact that he could just drive up and enter? Definitely a privilege. Then he felt something strange. His eyes narrowed. In the distance, a black car had parked, facing directly toward him. They really followed me all the way into Ian Forest? His focus locked onto the black vehicle. He didn't know what they wanted, but whatever it was, he muttered under his breath, "I'll deal with it inside the dungeon." Right then, a group of people stepped through the massive gate. They were the ones that blonde villain had hired to take revenge on the protagonist. Without hesitation, they entered the dungeon, arrogance practically dripping from their faces. One of them spoke up. "Wait, isn't this dungeon supposed to be solo only?" A purple-haired guy with a scar across his cheek seemed to notice something. He turned and spotted Sin Sanguine standing quietly in a shadowed corner, already waiting for them. With a chilling voice, Sanguine spoke. "You didn't come here by mistake. This is my domain." The massive, barefaced guy scoffed. "You stupid or something?" Sanguine looked at them and instantly knew. This wasn't a normal party. No healers. No mages. They'd given up on balance, an essential component in dungeon raids, and formed a party made of only swordsmen and archers. They were player hunters. A kill squad. Their kind was infamous, often referred to as hyena packs, symbols of death. The bare-faced brute kept growling. "This little punk thinks he's all that, like he's some kind of boba milk tea with cheese foam and popping pearls." The blonde-haired guy grinned, showing off his fangs. "Idiot. If you die here, not even your corpse is going to get picked up." Sanguine silently judged. These kinds of teams, they used to get wiped out by constant surveillance from the player association. "It's been a while." With a sneer, he replied, "Oh, I know exactly who you are. Out of all of them, archers were the most dangerous." And just like that, the guy with glasses drew his bow, eyes cold as ice. "All right," he said. "Let's get this over with." Suddenly, Sin Sanguine called out, This is exactly why I waited for you bastards." Leaving the big brute completely confused. Sanguine sneered. "If I have to get rid of 4 bodies, what better place than this?" The brute clenched his fists in rage, veins bulging as he roared. "You son of a..." But before he could charge, the scar-faced guy with purple hair blocked him. "Let's do this the easy way," he said. The beast-faced brute snarled. "This is easy. I'm going to rip his throat out." Meanwhile, Sanguine gripped his sword tightly and laughed. "Good dog. Do what your master says and stop wasting Daddy's time. Come at me, all of you." Provoked by the taunt, the buzzcut guy finally spoke up. "You'd better." But before he could finish, he lunged like lightning, slashing his blade at Sanguine with a twisted snarl. "Shut that mouth of yours," he roared. But Sanguine remained calm, unshaken. His face showed nothing but quiet disdain. The strong live, the weak die. He wondered if any phrase described dungeons better than that. His mind flashed back to the time before his regression. In the dungeon, monsters didn't target gear. They went straight for your life. His entire body drenched in blood, hollow eyes staring into nothingness. In that place, there were no rules. His memories expanded. Artifacts, players, all clawing for survival. And the lifeless eyes of someone kneeling in the dark meant just one thing. Your life hangs by a thread. In dungeons, weakness equals death. There are no laws. So if you want to live, you kill. That was the lesson from his previous life. And it still applies today. The others just stood there, stunned. But the outcome was already written. With a single slash, Sanguine cleaved the buzzcut guy in 2. Tomato juice-like blood sprayed across the dungeon floor, coating his blade. It was just self-defense. His eyes, sharp as blades, locked onto the rest. "What are you waiting for? Come at me." The remaining 3 panicked, their confidence cracking as they scrambled backward, minds spiraling in fear. Scarface shouted, "Keep your distance from him. Use cover while we get into position." The 4-eyed archer stammered. "All right," but even then, he still couldn't shake off the horror. He'd just watched Sanguine kill Sango. Even if he was a dumbass, he'd still managed to hit level 100. The archer kept glancing nervously at Sanguine, cold sweat dripping as he grit his teeth. This guy had only awakened recently, too. Since Sanguine wasn't done showing off. He spun his greatsword with flair, whipping up violent gusts that kicked up dust and rocks all around him. With a cocky grin, he shouted, "Hey, where do you think you're going? Frustrated, the archer snapped back, pulling his bowstring tight and firing directly at Sanguine's chest. What the hell is this freak? But in a flash, Sanguine caught the arrow midair and snapped it in two. Seeing his attack destroyed so easily, the four-eyed archer nearly lost it. Insane, this guy's freaking insane. Before he could do anything else, Sanguine charged in and slammed him down effortlessly with the greatsword. The purple-haired guy turned just in time to see the impact and froze in sheer panic. He suddenly realized Sanguine had thrown the damn greatsword. The blonde's face went pale. "What the hell is this monster?" he screamed. Scarface tried to keep calm, quickly running mental calculations. The fight was far from over. Every move now mattered. He saw his chance. Sanguine was currently unarmed. Now's the time to strike. But Sanguine only got more pumped the longer he fought. His excitement was obvious. Then suddenly, Green Hair bolted forward straight at him, yelling for Blondie to push up too. Sanguine's massive sword was still buried in the archer's body. All three remaining fighters, two villains and the protagonist, raced at full speed toward the weapon. The moment Sanguine's fingers brushed the hilt, he glanced sideways at the enemies, as if sensing their plan. Just as expected, they launched their final attacks. Blondie roared, "Die!" As he swung his sword down, a blinding burst of colorful energy exploded outward, slamming into the ground hard enough to blast a massive crater beneath them. But something fell off. He froze. What? He hadn't hit anything. Sanguine had leapt above the blow, landing nimbly atop his greatsword with a grin. "You're pretty dangerous, huh?" he taunted, his voice dripping with mockery. The blonde stared up at him, stunned and wide-eyed. "What'd I ask this guy?" Scarface stared up at Sanguine in horror. "You're completely insane." Without a word, Sanguine yanked his greatsword from Four Eyes' limp body. But before he could attack again, Scarface suddenly grabbed Blondie by the collar, yanking him forward like a human shield. "Arunt, what the hell are you?" Before Blondie could finish, Scarface hurled him straight into the path of Sanguine's blade. The sword struck deep, meant for Scarface, but it was Blondie who took the full blow. Just like that, Blondie joined the ranks of the permanently disabled. Breathing not required. Sanguine landed in a perfect crouch, his posture beastly, his presence overwhelming. He sneered. "So, you guys traffic organs, huh?" His pretty face twisted into mockery. "Doesn't matter how I look at it. You were never going to work together out of trust or some noble cause." He paused, voice sharp. "Let me guess, you were trying to awaken some kind of core using transplants, right?" Scarface's grin twitched. He chuckled coldly. "Huh, so what if we were?" But before the words were done, he lunged with a furious snarl. "You son of a bitch!" His sword arced toward Sanguine, but Sanguine didn't flinch. "I was just curious," he replied calmly. Then he activated a skill, Oni Smash Level 1. A violent surge of energy shot out and froze Scarface mid-motion. The system notification popped up. Stun effect activated. Target will be immobilized for 4.4 seconds. Scarface's face contorted in panic. What? I'm stunned. How the hell?" His thoughts reeled. It couldn't have been those shallow strikes earlier. There's no way a skill that powerful triggered off that. His breath hitched. Sanguine's face darkened. "It's over." Scarface's mind spiraled. "Over? What's he mean, over?" His pupils dilated in terror. "Is this how it ends for me?" No. No way. I'm the one who's supposed to take lives. That's how it's always been." Images flashed through his mind, back to the days when he had a team. They used to encourage each other, fight side by side. "Let's do our best this time. With you around, we can handle anything." Someone once trusted him without question, called him a friend. No one could have predicted that one day, that same person would be bloodied, eyes pleading, asking him over and over again, "Why? Please just let me live. I'll do anything." Scarface's hands trembled. But the sword was already falling. Exactly. The scar-faced purple-haired man had always been a predator. But Sanguine's voice cut through his thoughts like a blade. It wasn't loud, but it carried weight, dragging him out of the past and into the present. "What's wrong? Haven't you lived through this before?" The words struck deep. Scarface paled, his expression drained of everything but raw panic. His breathing hitched as Sanguine's blade pressed against the fragile seam between his head and shoulders. "You're scared now that it's your turn, huh?" Cut to black. The next scene opened in silence. The earth was soaked in red, the remains of the hyena pack scattered across the floor, silent still. Sanguine knelt down slowly, catching his breath as he wiped the sticky crimson off his sword. Damn, I shouldn't be getting used to this kind of situation. His voice was low and tired. I've only regressed recently. No way someone like me could ever become a constellation. Then he paused, caught himself. A quiet exhale. Whatever. It was self-defense, anyway. Screw it. He finished cleaning the blade, sheathed it, and that's when the light flared. From the blood-stained ground behind him, radiant glows burst upward, otherworldly, brilliant. Inside the light shimmered weapons, a bow, multiple swords, all surrounded by magical glimmer. You have acquired 8 artifacts from this dungeon. Sanguine stood still, watching the light reflect off the gear. Then he smirked faintly to himself. Guess these are mine now. Xian Sanjian swung on his long black coat. A status window appeared before him. Player name, Sinanjian level 10. Title, Power Overwhelming. 2 exclusive skills. Artifact equipped. Consumption, 11 HP for 100 mana, 50 XP. He looked at the panel and muttered, I wish I could have avoided that situation. But then hesitated and added, based on the results, it was worth it. He smirked quietly, satisfied. Good thing that artifact didn't make me fat. He thought further. Just looking at my stats. Am I already as strong as a level 50 player? How long have I been back anyway? My growth rate is insane. He slipped his hand casually into his coat pocket. From it, he pulled out a silver ring, detailed with ornate carvings, glowing faintly. Immediately, another window appeared. Item, Artifact Recovery Ring Silver. Type, Support Equipment Ring. Effect, Restoration. Special ability. Consume 10 mana to instantly remove any abnormal status. If used again within 60 seconds, mana cost doubles. Holding the ring, he thought back to the guy who rushed him earlier. Who would have guessed that bastard had an artifact that nullifies status effects? The realization hit him. If I'd blindly trusted in the stun effect, I'd be dead. He made a mental note. Be more cautious next time. Another system window popped up. Mana synchronization with recovery ring initiated. He darted forward at blinding speed. A mysterious cave lit by faintly glowing mushrooms. In the heart of a dark mine, for goblins were scurrying along the tracks. 2 carried heavy sacks of loot. The others clutched their weapons tightly. This place, dungeon number 101, internal access route. One goblin sensed something. It snarled. Now, in front of them, stood Xian Sanjian. Both hands gripped a gleaming longsword. All 4 goblins turned. His eyes were covered with a black blindfold. He exhaled slowly, trying to keep his focus. Phew. In the dim, musty tunnel, he stood silently on the rails, gripping his blade tightly, exuding a strange aura. This mission made him uneasy. It was the condition for earning the Lucky Day title. Being thrust into such a dilemma, all he could do was curse under his breath. This is insane. His current quest? Kill 500 monsters, blindfolded. The goblins could feel the danger. They stared at him, sensing something was off. His sword began to glow with energy. He muttered, when are these damn monsters gonna attack? One goblin grinned wickedly, saliva dripping from its open maw. Suddenly, Xian Sanjian realized he could feel them. Sight restricted, he had to focus entirely on his other senses. Feel the flow of air. Listen to every sound. He was engulfed in total darkness, hearing only their low snarls. Stay calm. Stay focused. He visualized everything in the void. I can do this. A goblin roared and lunged. Its blade swung wildly with full force. Instantly, slash! A clean cut across the waist. The goblin's body split in 2. Before the others could react, Xian Sanjian struck. In the blink of an eye, all 4 goblins were torn apart. He stood amidst pools of blood. Shredded corpses surrounded him. His massive sword dripped red. Blood stained his once white shirt. Still, he grinned. That felt good. Suddenly, a glowing arrow shot toward him. But he caught it midair. Looks like I can read them now, he muttered and crushed the arrow in his hand. The archer goblin stood in the distance, bow still in hand, eyes wide. As Xian Sanjian walked toward it, he thought, just recently I was struggling. But this feels familiar. He sensed many eyes watching from beyond. Thanks to all this, I've sharpened my instincts, he thought, hoisting the blade onto his shoulder. With a confident smirk, he shouted, Come on, you bastards. The goblins screamed, eyes glowing red with bloodlust. Muscles flexed, weapons clenched. They charged. He charged. The clash was brutal, flashes of steel, heads flying. Xian Sanjian sliced through all of them like paper. Only one goblin remained. It trembled as its comrades were butchered before its eyes. Isekai Sanjian did not hesitate. He killed without mercy. Blood poured from his sword, dripping rhythmically. The ground was littered with mangled corpses. Ding, ding, ding. You leveled up. You've earned the title. Lucky day, rank D. Grinning in satisfaction, he whispered, I'm starting to gather the titles I need. He didn't notice two goblins returning behind him. They saw the slaughter and howled in horror. In a flash, Isekai Sanjian turned to face them, blade on his shoulder, smirking menacingly. Well, might as well farm some more stats. A new window appeared. Player info Sanangian. Level 10. Title, Power Overwhelming. 2 exclusive skills. Artifact equipped. Consumed, 11 mana, 60 XP, 22-23 energy. His body trembled with a crazed laugh. Haha. His joy was overflowing. Just this title alone raised my luck stat by 30. This thing's better than most platinum-ranked titles. He shouted. This thing's gotta be worth 500 million, maybe even 1 billion. Suddenly, dimensional space weakening. Star signs incoming. He froze, face going pale. 3 constellations have arrived. The dimensional sweeper asks, do you like ruining others' luck? The Voyager of the Grand Void is drawn to your mystery. The goddess of fortune smiles and reaches out to you. From the heavens, a cosmic light appeared. A beautiful woman with flowing violet hair, clad in a white gown, stood regally. Behind her, a mysterious figure cloaked in white, eyes glowing with divine judgment. 3 constellations had arrived. Isekai Sanjian was stunned to see both men and women standing before him. A cheerful grin crept across his face. Wow, 3 of you? That was fast. He suddenly burst out laughing. Haha, did you guys see that performance or what? The goddess of fortune stepped forward, eyes fixed on him. Her gaze caught him off guard, momentarily speechless. What's going on? Was I too arrogant just now? Nothing like this ever happened in my past life. But after a few seconds, he regained composure. No, times like this are when confidence matters most. A radiant smile spread across her face, followed by a system message. The goddess of fortune expresses affection toward you. Scratching his head shyly, Isekai Sanjian responded. She remarked it was the first time she'd seen such a lucky swordsman. Luck, huh? Yeah, I guess I'm just incredibly lucky, he laughed. He lowered his eyes, calculating quietly. Just as I expected. These constellations are interested in forming contracts. Time to see what I'm working with here. The dimensional sweeper praised the ruthless streak inside him. A being known for its slaughterer nature, likely drawn by Exion's goblin massacre. Then came the Voyager of the Grand Void, intrigued by Exion's hidden inner world. Why is that one here? I heard it only appears to players with saint-like energy. He remained silent but deep in thought. Could it be? It showed up because of her? The goddess of fortune. Even among the stars, she was said to have vast influence. And right now, she was playfully chatting carefree. Suddenly, she glanced toward him with her dreamy green eyes. She calmly reminded him, you may still form contracts with other constellations, even if you choose me. That surprised him. Really? That's a huge advantage. He recalled a story. A legendary archer, Hashima Dazuki, known as the Miracle Marksman. He could land a shot even if he fired blindly into the sky. He never lacked arrows, always blessed. They said he had astronomical luck. So much so that people thought he was cheating. Turned out, he had contracts with 2 constellations. The goddess of fortune still smiled gently. She was the one who made the impossible possible. Isekai Sanjian scratched his head and chuckled. 3 constellations at once. How am I supposed to choose? The system issued a prompt. All 3 constellations await your decision. Some are growing impatient. One is even doubting their choice. But Isekai calmly closed his eyes and smiled. He started mentally comparing them. The goddess of fortune is clearly a good choice. But what if no more constellations ever appear again? This choice might very well decide the fate of his entire career. He remembered his past. In his 10 years as a player, only one constellation ever approached him. A hand had once reached out to help him. The late-blooming model student. That appearance had felt like salvation. And even now he believed. The future can still shine. Gripping his weapon tightly, he shouted, "Let's go!" But reality didn't change. His voice trailed off. Let's go. Because back then, he was already a worn-out man of 55. He came back to the present, memories crashing in. Have I ever really benefited from a constellation? The system showed a message. Title: Late Blooming Model Student, Level 850. All artifact and title bonuses are doubled. But the activation condition was absurd. He'd never used its true power, never even dared to think about it. Still, thanks to that constellation, perhaps, he'd been able to return in time. And for that, he owed a debt. He looked down at his sword, buried deep in the ground. It seemed heavier now, but also more majestic. From now on, no more rewinds. This is it. Now came the decision. Will it be divine power? Raw destructive force? Or luck? He turned his back on the present, stared deep into the blinding light ahead, and chose. He pressed a button. The system confirmed. You have entered a contract with the constellation, Goddess of Fortune. She was shocked. The system announced. Once a contract is signed, it remains valid for 30 years, even in death. In another realm, unknown entities observed this pact carefully. 15 friendly constellations sent blessings and well wishes. 3 hostile constellations vowed to send their players to block your rise. Isekai Sanjian smirked. What the hell? Why all this attention? He let out a long sigh and extended his hand warmly. Pleased to work with you, Goddess of Fortune. She smiled in return and held out her hand. She blesses your wise choice. As he walked forward, the system displayed. Contract effects, Goddess of Fortune. All attacks are guaranteed critical hits. Any unique grade or higher artifact acquired will always reveal and inherit its hidden effect. Killing a boss monster stronger than you guarantees a 100% artifact drop. He read those and shouted. These are straight-up broken effects. The Goddess of Fortune crossed her arms proudly. Then came the 4th effect. Each point invested into luck grants double the value. Applies retroactively to previously invested points. He shouted again. Wait, there's more. Gradually, Isekai Sanjian broke down in fake agony. 100% crit rate and guaranteed loot drops. This is insane. The system now translated for the Goddess of Fortune. What will you do with offers from the other constellations? He replied casually. They can go. I need to focus on my goddess now. The Voyager of the Grand Void politely bowed and left. But the Dimensional Sweeper left a threat through the system. One day, I will take your head. Isekai Sanjian just chuckled with the goddess. Haha, is that how you guys play? She clapped, praising his unwavering loyalty. You're quite charming. He smiled again, knowing she thought. With effects like these, there's no need to rush. Better chances will come in time. Back in Dungeon 101, the boss room loomed ahead. A red cloth covered a skull atop a pedestal. 2 people were fighting intensely inside, while the goddess watched silently, enjoying the show. Isekai Sanjian leapt into the air, declaring, This the best the boss can do. His opponent growled, pushing harder. Come on, brat, bring it. The battle lit up with flying sparks. His foe, the Goblin Chieftain, a boss overflowing with greed. It landed a strong blow, sending Isekai Sanjian flying. He groaned. The chieftain snarled, charging again. Suddenly, the system warned. Goblin Chieftain has applied. Intimidating aura, weakening effect. But Isekai Sanjian remained calm. A confident smirk crossed his face. Finally, here comes the aura. Despite being paralyzed, he evaluated the boss. It's trying to crush my fighting spirit. He growled through gritted teeth. Recover. Stones scattered as power surged from him. The boss lunged, panting, jaws wide open. Right there, he shouted. His sword blocked it just in time. This effect barely works. Good for trash mobs only. Skill activated. Recovery LV.1. He relaxed slightly. Time to test my luck. Status effects cleared. Weakness, intimidation. The boss gasped. Jichai. Truck. New skill activated. Sword seal LV.1. Goblin Chieftain is now paralyzed 2 seconds. Isekai slashed swiftly. Only 2 seconds? Make it 4. Domain effect activated. Paralysis extended by 2 seconds. The chieftain roared helplessly, claws flailing. He dodged smoothly. Second domain effect. 90% chance to apply paralysis. Success. He smiled brightly. It worked. Isekai Sanjian blinked. Wait, that worked again? The Goblin Chieftain groaned in agony. Kiru. Chap. Chin. His towering figure finally collapsed. Now, only Isekai Sanjian remained standing in silence. He glanced at the fallen boss. Around it lay countless white bones. The system pinged. Congratulations. You have cleared the Goblin Swamp dungeon. You have officially leveled up. Hearing that, Exan Sanjian lowered his head and sighed. So it's over. Another message followed. Title earned. Don't touch me, rank D. He dropped to his knees beside the boss's corpse. Finally, still gripping his weapon, Exan Sanjian muttered. From slaying those goons earlier to wiping a whole dungeon. There's a saying, grind hard while you're young, right? But I might be overdoing it. The goddess of fortune appeared beside him. She glanced at the floating notifications. If your luck's this bad, maybe it's more than bad luck, she teased. It's basically a skill. Exan Sanjian replied sarcastically. At this point, yeah, I guess bad luck is a skill. The goddess smirked, pointed toward the sky, and the system interpreted. Goddess of fortune. Luck is a skill. I'm pleased it chose to follow you. He sighed. Wow, that was a fast mood swing. He tapped through the system interface. First things first, boost my luck stat. His eyes lit up. Whoa, over 100 already. The system explained. When any stat surpasses 100, a bonus effect triggers, plus 10% to all related effects. For luck, that meant higher item drop rates, more effective evasion, and more powerful enhancements. He stood upright, gaze now fixed on a radiant shield near the goblin boss. Item, Kuni's Sun. Artifact, Silver Grade. Type, Secondary Equipment Shield. Special effect, converts incoming damage into healing. Trade-off, sacrifices 20 defense. Draws mana proportional to damage converted. The shield had once belonged to a goblin warrior named Kunis. Exan Sanjian glanced at the goddess of fortune, who crossed her arms, watching him. Well, I guess I owe this guaranteed drop to her. As he touched the shield, a question crossed his mind. So luck really does affect artifact drops, huh? The system confirmed. Synchronizing mana with Kuni's Sun. Before he could react, the goddess hugged him tightly around the neck. One thing's for sure, he muttered. This is even more troublesome than when I was a late bloomer honor student. Outside the dungeon, on a wide road near the Megazone's mission checkpoint, a secretary bowed her head and said, I'm sorry, that's not possible. Exan Sanjian tried to explain. I get what you're saying, but I have my reasons. She pleaded, clearly stressed. Please reconsider. I'm really at my limit here. His face showed signs of genuine concern. I've seen so many corpses this week. This can't keep going off track. 2 hours earlier, on a long stretch of highway, a white car sped down the lane. Sitting inside, Exan Sanjian muttered, I'm uneasy. That's a goblin shield. But his thoughts wandered. He imagined a simple meal, kimchi and rice. Classic humble. Well, at least I've got kimchi and rice. Suddenly, dashboard lights started flashing. What the? All these warning signs. Panic hit him. Do I need to switch cars already? But no, it wasn't about the car. What mattered now was getting to the next location. He imagined being attacked mid-sleep. The lower your level, the more predators come looking for you. I can't live in constant paranoia. Time to move somewhere with better security, like Player's Street. His sword lay untouched beside him. He thought about the artifact again. Better to buy second-hand ones. Easier to absorb, less suspicious. Silence filled the car. Exan Sanjian finally whispered. I need money. Lots of it. Fast. There's only one place I can earn that kind of cash. When the player era began, the system activated, revealing a list of tasks. All were monitored by the Player Association, known as the Skyborn Guild. His sharp eyes narrowed. A system managed by the association. That's something I can work with. His old, beat-up car sped forward as he muttered. All right, mission zone, here I come. But right at the gate, he got blocked. The secretary apologized. I'm sorry, sir. You must enter a dungeon appropriate for your level. Why are you trying to enter a level 100 zone? You haven't even been ranked yet. Exan Sanjian tried to reason. I swear I won't cause trouble. I may be level 17, but with my current skills, lower-level zones are just a waste of time. She laughed so hard she cried. Someone said that exact thing yesterday. Guess what happened? Please, just go to a zone that fits your level. He saw how exhausted she looked. I get it now. People like me probably show up all the time, overconfident and reckless. Still, in this situation, you have to be shameless. I insist, he said firmly. Suddenly, a voice interrupted from behind. What's going on here? The secretary hesitated. Hello. It's nothing really. Kim Miso walked forward, smiling. Level 100. A rank. Eden Guild. Exayan Sanjian's eyes widened. Kim Miso? The slaughter sniper. First level 100+ player to reach A rank. Famed for more than just her skill. She was the daughter of Kim Yun-cheon, CEO of Divine Biotech. Also known by another title, the Shadow Assassin's daughter. Her reputation stood alongside the nation's top-tier players. A glowing emerald badge confirmed her identity. She was essentially the most privileged player in history. Miso smiled politely. First time we've met, right? She stepped closer and asked. I've been watching for a while. Why are you trying to enter a level 100 zone? Exayan Sanjian replied honestly. For the money. Nearby players whispered. Wait, did Kim Miso just start a conversation with that guy? What's with his attitude? They started mocking him. Why is she talking to a level 17 no-name? Exayan Sanjian clenched his fists in his pockets. I heard all that, you jerks. He sighed. Of course I know the risk. But the higher the risk, the bigger the reward. I'm not doing this out of pride. They scoffed. In my past life, I tried to join Kim Miso's party. Got rejected immediately. Not that I'm holding a grudge. Kim Miso tilted her head. You know that solo missions are restricted by guild policy, right? Exayan Sanjian froze. Oh, right. Solo missions won't be allowed for another 4 years. He chuckled. Guess I didn't read the fine print. I'll go now. But she stopped him. Want to team up with me? Everyone froze. Wait, what? She's nuts. Why him? Exayan Sanjian tensed. What's her angle? He asked. What's the catch? She smiled. Oh, so you don't believe in free favors? He chuckled nervously. I tend to trust situations more than people. She laughed softly. No strings attached. More like a promise. She leaned in. If your skill doesn't match your confidence, you'll pay the price. But if it does, I'll offer a sincere apology. Exayan Sanjian smirked. So, this is a test then. Her influence goes way beyond fame. Kim Miso crossed her legs coolly, exuding dominance. The brand value of everything she wore skyrocketed. Her name alone stirred headlines. Some even whispered rumors about her being the perfect player idol. If she ever labeled someone as overconfident, that player's career was practically over. Exayan Sanjian stepped forward. Shall we go then? A young man stood beside the vehicle and respectfully said, I'll wait here, Mississippi. But Kim Miso didn't even glance at him. She walked straight into the building, leaving behind a simple, do whatever you want. This might take a while. With a frustrated sigh, she muttered, all the guild members are busy. So annoying. In the end, she had to find her own party members. She overheard voices arguing nearby. Trust me, I'm telling the truth. What a coincidence. Looks like I've got my reason to join Exayan Sanjian after all. The mission required a minimum party size. The secretary stood by, arms crossed, sighing. This is such a pain. But to Kim Miso, this was no easier. Suddenly, she smiled faintly. A smile that caught the nearby man completely off guard. In the middle of all that noise, she noticed something. A confident player in an uncertain situation. No one knew what Exayan Sanjian's abilities were. That made things interesting. She turned to the secretary and asked, So, what mission is Exayan Sanjian trying to take? The secretary fumbled and quickly pulled up the info. Just a second, here it is. She flipped the monitor toward Kim Miso. Mission type defense. Objective. Eliminate all monsters attacking the tower core. Failure condition, core destruction. Monster count, 300. Recommended level, 100+. Reward, 500 million won. At the bottom were 2 buttons, accept or decline. Kim Miso looked it over and noted. The mission requires at least 1 ranged DPS in a 4-man party. Yet, he was attempting to solo it. A game began to take shape in her mind. If this weren't a regulated zone, he'd be dead already. This won't be easy. Still unsure how he'd handle it, she turned and asked. Are you nervous? Caught off guard, Exayan replied. What? Did I hear that right? Both women nearby seemed to stiffen. He continued calmly. If it gets too intense, we can just add another tank or main DPS. He hesitated as if making a proposal. Kim Miso smiled, but inside she was irritated. Her tone was sharp. There's no issue with Exayan Sanjian. Mission accepted. Mission accepted. You will now be transferred to the mission zone. A blinding light filled with static crackled across the sky. Everyone nearby instinctively backed away, afraid of being struck. The secretary looked at her watch nervously, drenched in sweat. Well, at least Kim Miso is with him. Let's hope nothing goes wrong. People nearby whispered. Do you think he'll make it? No way. He's only level 17. How could he fight level 100 monsters? Someone else cut in. Why would Kim Miso go with him if he's useless? She's the youngest A-rank player. You think she'd misjudge someone? They kept debating. You know the Player Association revamped the ranking system, right? It's no longer just based on level. Two main factors now determined ranking. Dungeon completion count. Combat intuition rating. The crowd began speculating about Miso's performance. She hit A rank on intuition alone? That's wild. Wait, then why not A+? Because there are monsters even above her level. The crowd kept buzzing. Inside the mission zone, someone whispered. He entered with Kim Miso. Everyone outside looked on with envy. The mission. Tower defense. Wolf horde onslaught. The sky darkened to pitch black. Kim Miso stood atop a platform, bow drawn, ready to fire. Exian Sanjian casually walked across a narrow bridge, sword on his shoulder. If things get too dangerous, he said, I'll step in. Though calm, his eyes stayed sharp, alert. Above, Miso peered down, calculating silently. I hope this experience brings him back to reality. 30 minutes earlier, Kim Miso had approached him. What did you just say? He looked down and replied. Exactly what you heard. Don't interfere unless necessary. Support me from the back. I'll give you 5%. Explosions rocked the nearby tower. The two continued their tense negotiation. Miso stared him down, arms at her hips. You think I'm hesitating because of the payout? There are 300 enemies. Even at level 100, I'd struggle solo. Her gaze hardened. Suddenly, she glanced sideways, suspicious. Xin turned away confidently. You'll see. As he walked off, she clicked her tongue. TCH. You better not let any through. Each one that gets by deducts 1% from your cut. Miss 95, and you get nothing. Got it. From the darkness, sharp claws appeared. Two wolves emerged. Their roars shook the air. Xin Sanjian leapt in from above, slamming his sword down. Crack. Sorry, he said calmly. But that's not happening. The wolves growled, baring their fangs. His eyes gleamed. I won't let a single one pass. The horde charged, snarling viciously. Xin rushed forward. From a nearby rooftop, Kim Miso watched. She quietly murmured. Interesting. Swords flashed. Clangs echoed. Roars turned to screams. After slicing down the charging beasts, Xin turned and sprinted. Glancing back, he smirked. They scream cute, don't they? Miso raised her bow, silently observing. So, he's not just full of himself. She recalled each motion. His sword stance maximized range. It was exactly like the sword masters from her guild. Jin Ho always said offense and defense should be one. He avoided all unnecessary movement. Each strike took down multiple enemies. But despite his confidence, the battlefield was packed. There's no way a level 17 can keep this up, she thought. But then she noticed something strange. Wait a minute. Why aren't the monsters moving? The answer came quickly. Skill activated. Demon Step LV.1. Kim Miso froze, eyes wide. He's not moving at all. She shouted. No way. That's a stun. From her high perch, she leaned dangerously forward. Below, the wolves kept howling as they were torn apart. Kung clang clash. Kim Miso steadied herself. I almost fell. But that was definitely stun. She counted. 4 seconds. That's longer than Jin Ho's. He can just apply stun, then calmly eliminate the whole wave. Then she saw another strike. Her jaw clenched. What is this guy? Why does it look so easy? Xian's eyes sharpened. A wolf flew past his head with a pained scream. He stood calmly as monsters flew through the air. A smirk curved his lips. Finally, the black-fang wolf appeared. It bared its fangs in a horrifying snarl. I've barely encountered these in my past life. But something about it feels familiar. The system warned. Black-fang wolf has applied. Stun. He frowned. The same stun effect I used. But then, your artifact prevents stun effects. Lightning sparked in the sky. Kim Miso readied her bow. Your artifact prevents stun effects. She froze. Right. Black-fang used stun. I was so caught up watching, I forgot. I really thought I was going to teach him something. That could have been a disaster. Electric sparks danced across Xian's body. Kim Miso's thoughts churned. Even if he had a stun skill, removing stun at this level is nearly unheard of. Recovery, negative effect stun removed. Xian Sanjian charged forward like nothing happened. Miso gasped. No way. Perfect sword stance. Extended stun durations. And resistance to stun. A level 17 player did all that. The Black Fang wolf howled again. Xan dashed forward. Surprised, he slid across the ground. You thought I was paralyzed, but I'm moving just fine. As the beast's fangs snapped down, his sword pierced its body clean through. That sealed the fight. The creature crashed down, paralyzed, without him even needing a stun skill. Xian Sanjian stood atop the fallen beast. Ugh, got blood on my clothes. Thought I'd dodge that. He laughed to himself. Well, guess we're making a mess now. Above, Kim Miso watched from a rooftop. She was smiling. What kind of monster is this guy? Xian Sanjian planted his sword in the ground and leaned against it, resting beside the body of the black wolf. The system rang out in victory. Defense mission status. 299 out of 300 monsters eliminated. Target, 300. Level up. Level up. His level climbed rapidly. New title acquired. Fearless, rank D. Effect. Grants complete resistance to status effects triggered by wolf-type monster howls. He silently glanced at the wolf's sleek fur behind him. High above, Kim Miso was still sitting quietly on the rooftop. He smirked, calculated. Those skeptical stares from before, they're gone. Now they're watching me to see what I'll do next. He stood tall and declared. There's an audience, and the performer can't take a break now. Time to wrap this up. From a pool of blood, a massive wolf slowly rose, growling. He asked calmly, You ready, Greifang? The creature's blood-red eyes flared as it let out a guttural, chilling howl. This was the final boss, the werewolf king. With a deafening boom, it charged toward him. Thankfully, Xan dodged in time. He taunted. Your attack's unpredictable, right? That's what they say. He grinned slyly. But it's been 30 years. We've studied every move of yours. Let's be honest, your patterns are laughably obvious now. The werewolf king let out a furious roar. Still, Xian kept provoking. I know every single move. Every last skill of yours. The sky before him turned dim and foggy. It was the wolf's fear aura, but Xian had resistance. He crouched slightly and muttered. Just as expected. A level 100-plus boss still hits hard. But I've got you pegged. From her rooftop, Kim Miso smiled in disbelief. This is insane. Not only is he dealing with the berserk state, he's also resisting fear? And he swung that massive sword around like it weighed nothing. The boss lunged, maw wide open to swallow him whole. But Xian smoothly sidestepped, and the beast's jaws slammed shut with a deafening crack. Its eyes flared like headlights. Claws came crashing down, but Xian raised his sword to block. The beast couldn't get through. Frustrated, it roared again. Still, he stayed calm, reading every move. Grinding his teeth, he muttered. I told you. I know everything about you. It took me a whole lifetime in my past life to figure that out. Kim Miso still stood on the rooftop, stunned by the ridiculous fight unfolding before her. It felt like Xian was putting on a show just for her. She let out a soft sigh. What kind of person are you? Suddenly, the entire bridge shook from a massive explosion. Xian stumbled back. This is dragging longer than expected. He grit his teeth. This is what I get for showing off in front of Kim Miso. It's wasting time and energy. He sprinted forward, but the monster gave chase, closing in fast. Why am I still able to run like this? Even as he dodged, his mind raced. If I let my guard down, I'll collapse before I win. I'm running out of stamina. He glanced back. Huh. The monster lunged with its claws, howling. He recognized the movement instantly. A high-damage feint. It tricks the target with one strike, then follows up with a lethal blow. This was the move that killed countless players. I've never used this trick in live combat, but sometimes bold choices save lives. As the monster readied the killing blow, Xian suddenly reversed direction and sprinted straight toward it. It roared and gave chase. Kim Miso, watching, froze, eyes wide, body tense. The beast's claw finally struck. Xian was sent flying. That was it. Time for Kim Miso to act. She crouched to leap, but instead she collapsed to her knees. Tears welled in her eyes. She whispered, Xian Sanjian. Her heart clenched. This is stupid. I should have helped. Even if he looked like he had it handled. Standing here doing nothing, it's like I let him die. I'm sorry. Xian Sanjian. Suddenly, a strange light appeared. It was his shield, Kuni's son. It had absorbed the entire blow. And then it vanished. Shield sacrifice effect activated. Special passive, conditional recovery. Any damage to designated body parts is converted into healing. If damage exceeds your max HP, your health is restored fully after the hit. Now sitting silently beside the goddess of fortune, Xian clicked through the interface. A conditional healing skill. This thing's a lifesaver when facing fatal hits. He examined the screen. Wait, I have to select a body part. A system message popped up. Please select a body part to activate sacrifice. Options were displayed, front and back views, with body parts divided. What is this? 16 options? Even the back is divided into 4. That's ridiculous. He sank into thought. Most would pick the back for safety. But even that split into zones? Way too risky. If I guess wrong, I'm dead. A smile crept across his face. Looks like I'll need a new strategy. Excited, he clicked. It worked. Sacrifice activated. HP fully restored. He slowly stood up, groaning. If I'd miscalculated even a little, I'd be dead. That was risky. But I just hit 2 birds with 1 stone. New skill acquired. Demon Slam, LV.1. The Werewolf King groaned in pain. Xian laughed. Not sure if I'm lucky or you're unlucky. That bait arm you used for the fake-out? Gone. The beast's right arm had been cleanly severed. Who would have thought you'd lower your guard to land that deadly strike? Well, now you're down a limb. He raised his sword. Let's move on to a different kind of test, shall we? Kim Miso slowly approached the battlefield. The monster's head hung low, chest heaving. Demon Slam's effect only lasted a moment. Still, Xian's final words rang with confidence. But that was more than enough to bring you down. He glanced back. You came? She clenched her fists at his words. Face calm, voice level, she replied. If you had a healing skill, maybe warn me next time? I nearly had a heart attack watching you die. Wait, did you resurrect or something? How do you know the Werewolf King's skills so well? Xian Sanjian fell silent. He didn't know how to answer. Kim Miso narrowed her eyes. I've seen a lot of sword users in my life, but I've never met anyone as mysterious as you, Xian Sanjian. Her gaze was firm, as if trying to read his soul. He smiled and asked lightly, Mysterious how? Xian Sanjian glanced at her, hesitating for a moment before asking, What's wrong? A sudden question echoed. What kind of pressure is this? Kim Miso hesitated before explaining. No, it's just... He immediately showed a surprised expression after hearing her answer. It's just you look like a high-ranking player. Xian Sanjian felt a bit annoyed and discontent inside. I thought you were going to say something like, How did you manage to take down that boss? Indeed, a normal player wouldn't be able to do something like this. Then she continued with her main point. Anyway, are you going to take care of it or not? The final boss, the Werewolf Lord, started growling threateningly. He looked up and said, I'll make this easier for you. I almost forgot about you. Suddenly, the system made an announcement. You have acquired the title. Fight to the death. Player info, Xian Sanjian. Title, Fight to the death. Constellation, the 6-star goddess of fortune. Unique skill, item absorption. Title rank, C. Title description. When in an isolated state with no allies within a 5-meter radius, the fight to the death state will activate, temporarily increasing all stats by 20%. The effect disappears immediately once isolation ends. A special title meant for one-on-one combat, and it's his first C-rank title. How nostalgic, Kim Miso muttered. You got a new title, right? She asked hesitantly. Xian Sanjian responded enthusiastically. You already know about this? Did you fight that boss before too? Kim Miso crossed her arms proudly and replied, Yeah, of course. I've fought it alone before. After those words, she had nothing more to say, and the conversation faded into awkward silence. Suddenly, Kim Miso let out a tired sigh, even though she hadn't done anything strenuous. She lamented, There's nothing to be proud of. Honestly, I only defeated it thanks to some artifacts. I can't say I beat it with skill like you did. He explained. Using artifacts is also a player's skill. She responded with a stiff smile. Thanks for the compliment. Xian Sanjian stabbed his sword into the ground and focused on her words. The artifacts I used are worth over 200 billion. Comparing that to someone using a mass-produced greatsword like yours. Honestly, it's a bit embarrassing. She added. Besides, didn't you think of using the title's effect right away? He looked puzzled, huh? What do you mean? A new system notification appeared. Title: Fight to the death has been activated. Player Kim Miso is isolated. No allies are present within a 5-meter radius. The title fight to the death has been activated. Exan Sanjian started dodging and replied with a smile. Ha ha ha, no way. There aren't even any enemies here. Immediately after he said that, the system notified. Title fight to the death has been deactivated. Kim Miso turned to leave and left a brief message. I'll head out first. I need to contact the dungeon porters outside. He replied amicably. Ah, thanks. Exan Sanjian quietly watched her back as she walked away. The quest rewards would include items related to the monsters, so calling porters to clean up was the natural next step. In his previous life, he used to do the same. Dealing with troublesome tasks made him seem more reliable in her eyes. Suddenly, Kim Miso spoke again. And I'll give up 5% of the quest rewards I mentioned earlier. He was surprised and asked, What? That's a bit of a loss for you. She kept walking and replied casually, I'm fine. Don't overreact. Her face brightened up as she said, We'll see each other a lot from now on. Just think of it as an investment. Got it, Mr. Sanjian? Well then, I'll go ahead. He didn't say anything more, just put on a foolish grin. Seriously, he couldn't bring himself to lower his guard around her, even at the end. A beam of light shone on Exan Sanjian's back. He planted his sword into the ground and declared, All right. A stone appeared, followed by a message. Let's check the reward I've been waiting for. Moonlight Stone, Platinum Item. Type, Special Equipment Accessory. Special Effect, Aura of the Wolf. Plus 100 HP. Plus 100 MP. Plus 51 Luck. A rare gemstone crafted by the faith of the Silver Wolf tribe, worshippers of the Blue Moon. His body began to tremble, and he stuttered as he spoke. Finally, Exan Sanjian clenched his fists and shouted joyfully. It's a platinum-grade item. He hugged it tightly like a precious treasure and shouted again. A platinum artifact is worth at least 1 billion. This is amazing. This is worth a whole apartment in the capital. Then the system, acting as a translator, appeared and asked. The goddess of fortune asks, Do you now believe in her influence? She spoke with a smile on her lips. He glanced at her with some scorn and asked, Was that really your doing? It's mine. The owner of the Torn Lips constellation strongly opposed the favoritism he was receiving and demanded the removal of the Goddess of Fortune from the player system. Unexpectedly, the Goddess of Fortune suggested a vote among the constellations connected to the player system. The vote is underway. Proposal to remove the Torn Lips constellation from the system. Vote count, 61-1. 62-64. The proposal passed unanimously. The constellation Torn Lips could no longer operate as a star. Exan Sanjian was stunned. Even that got accepted? And she was a famous constellation, too. He began caressing the valuable item in his hand and analyzed. First, because it's platinum grade, I can absorb about 40% of its power. Its special effect is the Hour of the Wolf. It's always active, no cooldown, and when the moon is visible in the dungeon, my regeneration speed increases 5-fold. Regardless of the moon's presence, wolf-type monsters constantly fear the player holding the Moonlight Stone. If the moon is visible, wolf-type monsters will never attack the player holding the Moonlight Stone. His expression lit up with excitement. So basically, I can become a monster, even without the moon? The system then announced. Absorbing Moonlight Stone's power. A portal opened, leading him to the quest hall area. Exan Sanjian confidently stepped through the door, and suddenly froze. Before him were many people. Some stared directly at him, others took pictures or recorded him. They whispered, Is that Exan Sanjian? Did he really clear a level, 100 quest all by himself? I think so. Kim Miso wouldn't lie about that. Kim Miso, carrying her familiar backpack, walked by and spoke. Don't worry about it. Just hearing her voice stirred the crowd. Oh, Ms. Kim Miso. She smiled at Exan Sanjian and replied, Who in their right mind would send a level 17 player into a level 100 quest? I would have stopped them myself. You did really well. A receptionist cried tears of joy at the sight of Kim Miso. Ms. Kim Miso, she calmly reminded, you should remember Exan Sanjian's face. He's about to become a regular customer here. Exan Sanjian smiled to himself and thought, Now that I think about it, I kind of feel bad for the staff. They must be under a lot of pressure. Suddenly, a loud voice rang out. Exan Sanjian. A group of people aggressively rushed over, making him freeze. I'm Yun Du-han, leader of the Guardian Guild's scouting team. You seem like a great player. How about joining our guild? No, our guild offers the best benefits. Kim Miso immediately stepped in front of him, trying to help. Sorry, but Sanjian has some issues to discuss with me, so we'll take our leave now. Huh. Wait. So that means the Eden Guild has. Before they could finish, she glanced at him with a curious look. Yes, that's right. He saw it as a lifeline and quickly followed up. Ah, yes, probably. That action saved him from trouble. But what was her plan? On the highway, a luxurious black car sped away. Inside, Exai and Sanjian received a huge sum of money. Kim Miso asked. The quest reward was settled pretty fast, huh? Exai and Sanjian scratched his head and awkwardly replied. That was definitely the fastest I've ever experienced. Yeah, I think I'm okay with getting this much money. She explained immediately. I contacted A-rank representatives. They worked faster to settle the reward for you. He gave a sly smile. Thanks for helping me like that. 5 million won, Kim Miso called out. Driver. Before she could finish, the driver responded. Understood, Ms. Miso. Exai and Sanjian glanced to the side, surprised as they switched to stealth mode. He gave a sly grin and leaned slightly toward her. Just as expected, nothing comes without a reason. Her hand moved a bit closer, then a laugh echoed. Ha ha ha, I'm not good at saying sweet words. Kim Miso sat cross-legged, casually inviting Sanjian. Join my Eden Guild, she proposed directly. Sanjian lowered his head slightly, contemplative. She seemed confident, straightforward, and got right to the point, something he appreciated. She was remarkably candid. There's a reason we're called EMA. It means heaven for players, she said with conviction, even while Sanjian was still resting. I don't think you'll regret it. Honestly, it would be a lie if I said I didn't foresee this happening, she continued. When I was reborn, I was just a member of a regular guild. Back then, being part of something gave me a sense of security. It was a small guild made up of powerless players with nowhere else to go. But it was fun and comforting, at least until that incident. He recalled the most painful moments of his life, crying while holding his teammate's lifeless body. But with big opportunities come certain supports. Still, it comes with restraints. And at the rate I'm developing now, it doesn't matter how good the facilities are. Big opportunities can be helpful, but they also bind you. Right now, fighting solo is what's allowing me to grow faster. Sanjian lowered his head with no sign of remorse and spoke up. I'm sorry, but Before he could finish, Kim Miso interrupted with logic. Are you planning on starting a one-man guild? Sanjian froze, his expression completely blank. He had no idea how to respond to that. He finally complimented her. Wow, you really catch on quickly. Kim Miso confidently replied. Well, I am the daughter of a major conglomerate's president. She eyed him with a bit of a challenge, carefully evaluating his potential. Sanjian, that fact isn't hard to notice. But the thing is, I'm the only one who knows this truth right now. Thoughts kept spinning through Sanjian's mind. Even though she likely knew he'd end up forming a solo guild, she still expressed her interest. She voiced her intentions, showing genuine curiosity, maybe to form a relationship she could benefit from later. Honestly, she was a skilled negotiator. On a wide avenue known as the Player Street, near the Jamshu station, a woman holding a folder walked up with a smile. As I mentioned, the deposit is 100 million won, and the monthly rent is 5 million won. Sanjian responded politely. The way you said that with a smile makes it sound like a decent deal. She chuckled. Hee hee, well, you're still getting a good bargain. This place usually has a long wait list. He held the contract in his hand and waved as he said goodbye. All right then, I'll be off. Please contact me if anything comes up. Of course. Take care. Once alone, Sanjian fell into thought. That was quick. I found a place immediately. As expected, everyone else on the waiting list had to work harder than him. Maybe I should thank the goddess of luck for this. In a quiet corner of the room, his sword and belongings were neatly arranged. He stood leaning against the windowsill, quietly observing the scenery. Sunlight bathed his face. He raised his head slightly. So much has happened in such a short time. This mysterious rebirth and all the strange changes, it was overwhelming. He had spent many days just trying to understand everything, even though that information didn't help him much for now. Every image, every memory flashed through his mind. I don't know what I should do next in this situation. But soon his thoughts began to shift. He would start acting differently. His eyes gleamed with an indescribable spark. He opened them wide as if still trying to process it all. There was something he'd forgotten. Even though he hadn't done anything yet to change his circumstances, he could feel a fiery bloodline coursing through him. He clenched his fist tightly, a slight smile forming on his lips. This is youth. Youth and the future, held in this very hand. I won't sit still. This time, I'll live a stronger, happier life. Sanjian remembered the moment he stepped through that gate, facing everyone. I will no longer live as a coward. More than anything, new opportunities for growth were constantly appearing. That too was a kind of luck. Elsewhere, Kim Miso was on the phone. Ah, reporter Park Dong-min. What brings you here? He kept his head bowed as Kim Miso's words reached him. Haha, you really are quick at catching on to new stories, huh? Did you come to interview that player? Yes. I heard you were with him during a mission. The situation here is chaos. WF's news picked up the story. From Park Dong-min's phone, the audio reached curious ears nearby. Drama was in the air. As I heard, out of all the players I've met recently, he really is something. Could you summarize it quickly? People are staring at me. A car stopped in front of a tall building. Sanjian got out and stood by the car door. Thanks for waiting for me. Kim Miso tried to stop him. Ah, Sanjian, wait. She enthusiastically introduced the upcoming journey. We're going to explore an unidentified gate. We're forming a free team. Up to 4 members, level cap 120. Don't worry, it's not a guild mission. Without hesitation, he replied. I'm in if you're offering. Kim Miso was slightly confused. After all, he had just turned down her guild invitation. Why was he so interested in this mission? Meanwhile, Sanjian was silently celebrating. Finally, I get to enter a dungeon gate. To put it simply, dungeons are fixed. Once you're in, the entrance and exit are set, and traps and monsters act in predictable patterns. But gates? Gates constantly change. While you're navigating it, entrances, exits, even monsters shift in real time. But as always, the higher the risk, the greater the reward. And if it's an unidentified gate, the first to conquer it gets a guaranteed high-grade item. Maybe Kim Miso had experienced that before and earned something valuable from it. The toughness of her black wolf pelt, only obtainable in such gates, was proof. Looking into her phone, she said, I'll contact you once I have more information. We might need to stay in touch a lot from now on. She handed him her phone. Here, please enter your number. On the screen were 2 photos with a meeting schedule. Friday, June 20th, 10:30 a.m., meeting with Mr. Gregory. She quickly pulled her phone back, flustered. Ah, sorry. That was careless of me. Her cheeks reddened. What's wrong with me? She muttered. Meanwhile, Sanjian remained calm and silent as he entered the room. She clearly had a secret. But honestly, what player doesn't? Even I have things I can't tell anyone. If people knew I was reborn, who knows what would happen? It would cause a massive uproar. A memory suddenly came to him, a girl clutching a book, standing with her back turned. His gaze turned cold. I don't know where she is now, but we worked together for years. Back then, their shadows stretched out as they walked side by side. Right now, finding her is nearly impossible. In the VIP lounge of the Black Guild, a man across from Kim Miso spoke. It's been a while since we grabbed coffee together. Are you waiting for someone? You keep staring at your phone. She shut her eyes and responded, embarrassed. It's Sanjian. We're preparing to explore a gate together. The man teased. Oh, you're that close to him now. She tried to explain. It's not like that, but he kept teasing. Isn't he the guy who can stay focused in battle longer than I can? And didn't he coldly reject your guild offer? If it were me, I'd like him too. Playful whispers filled the room. You should really start getting worried. Oppa. Huh. Why me? Kim Miso commented. His swordsmanship skills are quite high, similar to yours. Maybe even better. The man leaned back, arms over the chair, laughing loudly. Haha, are you just saying that because I teased you earlier? He stroked his chin. He is strong, but comparing his strength to mine is a bit much, don't you think? That guy is Eden Guild's Gene H, level 700 S rank. At that moment, at Jam Shoe's Training Ground 43, Sanjian cheerfully answered the phone. Yes, Miss Kim Miso, I'm listening. On the other end of the line, she politely asked, Are you able to talk right now? I'm calling about the gate. You answered quickly. I can talk now, he replied. Kim Miso, crossing her legs, got straight to the point. An unidentified gate has just appeared 500 meters northwest of the Chue Nui station on Road 7. We've done a preliminary scout of the central zone. I just sent the info to you. Sanjian immediately checked his phone. Ah, yes. Give me a moment to look over it. She reminded him. Take your time. Suddenly, his expression turned serious. The data showed that the mid-tier boss of Gate 2 was a Cerberus-type monster, an infernal hound classified at an estimated level 100. Its primary attribute was savage biting, and it had multiple heads. Gate 3's detailed stats followed next. Grinding his teeth in frustration, he muttered, "What the hell is this? I just got my skill, and a monster like that already shows up." Cerberus seemed to meet all the requirements for his new skill. More data appeared. The intersection of day and night. Special effect is always active with no cooldown when the moon appears inside the dungeon. HP and wound recovery rate increases 5-fold. Regardless of the moon's presence, canine or wolf-type monsters enter a fear state when facing a player who possesses the blue moonstone. Moreover, if the moon is present, those monsters will never attack the player holding the blue moonstone. After a moment, he replied into the phone. "Okay, I just checked it. Thanks for the info." Kim Miso responded calmly. "Sharing this kind of info is only natural. I'll contact you again later." Just then, Yunakian walked up and asked, "What's with the shouting? Something going on?" Embarrassed, Sanjian answered, "Ah, sorry, Captain." The man chuckled playfully. Just teasing you." Yunaki crossed his arms, flashing a white-toothed grin. "You're famous now, I get it. I'm not your captain anymore. Just call me Hyung." Sanjian scratched his head, awkwardly replying, "Come on, Hyung. I'm not that famous. Still got a long way to go." Feigning mystery, Yunakian asked, "Judging from your tone, I'm guessing you haven't received that call yet, have you?" "Huh? What call?" Sanjian asked, puzzled. Yunakian held up his phone to show him. "See for yourself." He added, "You're on the cover of this week's Player Weekly. If that's not fame, then what is?" On the screen appeared a news headline. "The legendary rookie has emerged. Player Shin Sang-yoon appears like a comet." Reporter Park Dung-min had posted it from the mission area where Sanjian had been. Startled, Sanjian exclaimed, "What the hell is this?" Yunakian laughed loudly. "Haha, you better turn your phone off. People will be calling from everywhere." Sanjian furrowed his brow, grinding his teeth. "It's not like I hate the press, but do they always post these things without even contacting the person directly?" Seeing his expression darken, Yunakian asked, "What's wrong? Don't tell me some long-lost cousin already called you." Sanjian replied with a serious face, "I'm only thinking about close relatives for now." Putting his phone away, he continued, "Hyung, I've already got things to deal with today. Now there's even more to worry about." Yunakian seemed to realize something, glancing sideways, then picked up a bag and asked, "Oh, were you talking about this?" Surprised, Sanjian gratefully said, "Yeah, that's it. Thanks a lot." Teasing again, Yunakian said, "Thanks. Other people think I should just give it to you for free." He offered, "The stuff inside is all sacred relics with my fingerprints all over them. Wouldn't it be better if you just bought new ones?" Sanjian laughed and said, "I just wanted to borrow some of your battle spirit, the way you solve problems." Yunakian grimaced. "Huh? Talking nonsense again, huh?" Sanjian just smiled awkwardly. "Just think of it as a way for me to get rid of bad luck." He thought to himself, "How do I even explain that old sacred relics have a higher absorption rate?" Yunakian hesitated, but before he could say more, a young woman approached. "Sorry I'm late," she said, brushing aside her hair with a charming smile. "Parking was hard to find here. Let's start the appraisal right away." Yunakian looked at her with suspicion. "Huh? Who's this?" Sanjian stepped up and explained. "She's the appraiser who'll help us with the transaction." Yunakian cheerfully slung his arm around Sanjian's shoulders and laughed. "I brought her so you wouldn't get ripped off, since we're friends and all." "Please stop, Hyung," Sanjian replied, exasperated. The sacred relics were quickly taken out. The appraiser knelt down, and a mysterious purple aura began radiating from her. Ding! Sacred relic appraisal complete. She let out a sigh of relief. "Phew," she reported to the two of them. "The appraisal is done. You can proceed with the transaction at the predetermined price." Yunakian asked, surprised, "So you're really not going to haggle?" Sanjian firmly answered, "Of course not." Right then, Yunakian drew the sword at his waist. "Then before we finalize the price, would you mind taking a look at my swordsmanship?" Sanjian's eyes widened in shock. He waved his hand and awkwardly smiled. "No, Hyung, I don't have the skill to evaluate that." But Yunakian didn't let it go. "Don't pretend to be humble. I'm not dumb enough to miss the fact that you're much better than me now. And I'm not so prideful as to let my ego stop me from learning. Sanjian sighed, emphasizing again. No, seriously, Hyung. But deep inside, he was crying, God, I hate troublesome stuff like this. Still, seeing Yuneking's sincere expression, he changed his mind. Brushing off someone so earnest would be rude. He said, Then don't worry about me. Just do it how you normally would. Yuneking grinned and gripped his sword tightly. All right. Sanjian glanced at the appraiser and warned. You might want to stand behind me. She quickly replied. Understood. Yuneking's eyes lit up as he shouted. Here I come. He unleashed a whirlwind of strikes, his blade dancing like a storm and his eyes blazing sharp as knives. Sanjian stood with arms crossed, calmly evaluating. Impressive. He's gotten a lot stronger since the last time we met in a dungeon. Looks like he's been training without rest. The sheer force of his strikes created a violent gust that made the appraiser flinch and shout. Ah! Sanjian's gaze remained serious as he observed the refined movements and focused aura of the swordplay. Then he called out, Hyung. Sweating, Yuneking replied. So soon? I still had more. Sanjian walked over, concerned. Is something wrong with your left arm? Surprised, Yuneking asked. How did you know? When you swing with your right hand, your left shoulder opens too wide, like you've lost awareness in that area. He added, If I'm not mistaken. Yuneking turned away slightly troubled. You're right. I injured my left shoulder blocking attacks. I couldn't hide it, huh? He rubbed his shoulder and explained. Most of my injuries from training or dungeons are on this side. I know it, but there's nothing I can do. Sanjian offered. It can be treated. Hope sparked in Yuneking's eyes. Sanjian stepped in, demonstrating smoothly. It's easier to handle than you think. Don't hide your injury. Use bolder swordsmanship to turn it into a strength. He patiently guided him step by step, from control to footwork timing. Changing everything won't be easy, but you'll make great progress. They immersed themselves in the lesson, adjusting stances like Yuneking was learning to clench his fingers tighter. Ugh, not easy, he groaned, trying again. The appraiser stood outside, confused by what she was witnessing. The atmosphere suddenly became strangely intimate. Ah, Sanjian, that hurts. Haha, just bear with it a little. His sweet tone made her blush deeply. Their words were getting more sentimental. Hee, kinda embarrassing, but yeah, it feels a lot better now, right? It'll get better gradually. Now, turn your hips this way. The appraiser blushed harder, thinking, what the heck are these two doing? The two grew even more familiar. Wow, this part of you is really stiff, huh? Hang in there, Hyung. Seeing things get out of hand, Yuneking's face turned red as he panted, making the appraiser totally confused. What am I even looking at anymore? After evaluating and making the purchase from Kyung's place, Sanjian drove his white car swiftly through the city. Inside, calming music played as a look of satisfaction spread across his face. Even though he had spent over 400 million won, it was still a good deal. The benefits he would receive from them would far surpass the money he had spent. Back then, Dian had even turned to thank Sanjian. However, her expression had been a bit hard to read. Although she seemed pleased with the swordsmanship training session, by the end of it, the appraiser's expression had turned strange. Maybe she was just feeling tired? At that moment, her face had reddened slightly. She couldn't look them in the eyes and simply said, I understand. Turning the steering wheel to the right, Sanjian murmured. Anyway, I just want to master this artifact as quickly as possible and see how far I can progress. How am I supposed to wait patiently until the next gate appears? Maybe I should give Kim Miso a call. As his mind wandered in thought, his eyes suddenly widened and he slammed on the brakes. The tires screeched as the car came to a sharp halt. In front of him, two men were blocking the road. Sticking his head out the window, he called out, I'm sorry, are you okay? You were in my blind spot. The tattooed man responded with a deep voice. So you finally showed up, huh? He stepped forward, tapped a bag on the roof of the car with annoyance, and growled, I'm getting tired of waiting for you. With his large round face inches away, he stared at Sanjian and demanded sternly, What do you think you're doing? Get out of the car right now. Confused, Sanjian let out a huh in surprise. The blonde man burst out laughing mockingly. They always react like that. Huh, did I hear that right? Before Sanjian could process what was happening, he felt a sudden heat on his back. The bulky man was channeling fire energy in front of his chest and threatened coldly. No more talking. Do you want to burn along with this junk car, or are you coming out? That's when Sanjian finally recognized them. Yan Chan and Song Ho from the Utopia Guild. From what he remembered, they used to mock weaker hunters. They were true scumbags. He remembered Yan Chan clearly. He always targeted those weaker than himself and posted flashy videos, titles like King of Gangnam Flirts with a Beauty, with Choi Song Ho acting as his cameraman. One of their most notorious clips had new players gasping, "Can Yan Chan really handle this?" as he entered a dungeon dressed like a rookie. His extreme content had earned him some loyal subscribers, but he eventually crossed the line. Yan Chan ended up on the news as a well-known YouTuber who was arrested. He received a life sentence and was forgotten by most. Back in the present, Sanjian sighed calmly as Song Ho sneered at him. "Look at him, Yan Chan, the kid's not even flinching." Sanjian thought to himself, in other words, both of these guys are human garbage. Yan Chan, flames in hand, smirked. "Why is this brat looking at me like that? Like he's about to snap." Song Ho laughed and nodded in agreement. Exactly right. They were both members of the Utopia Guild. Sanjian sighed again and reached for his sword. He had said he wanted to test his new artifact and see how much he'd improved. So why do these annoying nobodies keep finding me? But they weren't the kind of opponents he wanted to test himself against. Seeing Sanjian's expression change, Yan Chan raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. Sanjian stood before him with sword in hand and asked coldly, "So? What now?" Yan Chan snapped his fingers and smiled. "What do you think? Let me calm down a bit. I'm security in this player-filled city. Lots of people have complaints about you." His eyes narrowed confidently. "They said some jerk keeps driving around in this piece of junk car, and..." He suddenly kicked the door of Sanjian's car hard and shouted, "They're pissed off just being near this trash heap." That action finally provoked Sanjian. He looked at the dent in his car door as Yan Chan kept babbling. "Get it now? Unless you want your car rusting in the sun, pack your things and get lost." "Got it." Onlookers started to notice. "What's going on? It's Song Ho and Yan Chan again. Those bastards are up to their aggressive antics." A brown-haired guy's eyes widened. "Wait, isn't that the guy who was on the Player magazine? He's the one who went on a mission with Kim Miso, right? What's his name again?" "Xian Sanjian." Yan Chan turned to look, confused. "He's strong." Song Ho checked his phone. "Yeah, I remember now. He's the guy who went with Kim Miso. There's a rumor he soloed a level 100 mission." Yan Chan frowned, skeptical. "Soloed? But he looks weak." Song Ho laughed loudly. "Come on, Yan Chan. You think Kim Miso would let a rookie hog all the glory?" They looked at each other, then burst into laughter. "I just thought of the perfect title for our next video. You're a genius." Meanwhile, Sanjian stayed quiet. Song Ho pulled out the camera and whispered, "Time to teach the rookie that Kim Miso vouched for a real lesson." Cameras rolling. Yan Chan crouched next to Sanjian and spoke gently. "Hey, Sanjian, let me offer you some mercy." He proposed. "Let's enter training mode and duel. If I win, you leave Player Town immediately. And obviously, you'll be in our video." While Song Ho continued streaming, the chat started noticing. "Whoa, that's really Xian Sanjian." Yan Chan added, "If you win, we'll stay out of your way." "Deal." Sanjian responded simply. "Deal." Yan Chan scoffed. "Damn. Sanjian's really acting tough now." Sanjian shouted in anger. "If you throw in 500 million won and your wrist into the bet, we have a deal. But if you're scared, get lost now." That clearly enraged Yan Chan. His face twisted, veins bulging. On stream, he growled, "What did you say, you bastard?" But Song Ho interrupted. "Hey!" Annoyed, Yan Chan snapped back. "What? Can't you see I'm busy?" Song Ho's voice trembled. "Look at the chat." On screen, comments were exploding. People were getting excited. This is going to be good. As Yan Chan stared dumbfounded at the chat, Sanjian pressed again. "What's wrong? Scared? Some fearless YouTuber you are." Yan Chan hesitated. He realized that if this got violent, the video wouldn't be monetized. Still, maybe he could blow off some steam. Sanjian looked at him, confused. "What's the delay?" A short time later, in the plaza of Building C, Player Town. The duel was set. Sanjian, returned from 30 years in the future, versus Yan Chan the YouTuber. Spectators gathered. "What's going on? Is that really Xian Sanjian?" A man in blue chimed in. "They're just pulling their usual crap, bullying rookies." While some people were awkwardly chatting. "Do you live here?" "I have a boyfriend." Training mode activated. Players Ion and Sanjian had entered the arena. A protective shield effect was applied. Yan Chan summoned fire in his hand. "Just as you said, 500 million won, and our wrists are on the line. And don't worry, I always keep my promises. He added smugly. Just don't come crying to me later. If you want out, now's the time. Outside the field, Song-ho finished setting up training mode. It's all ready. Yan-chan nodded. Got it. Sanjian let out a long sigh, steadying himself. Yan-chan, confident, stared at the flame in his hand. You hear that? Let's begin. I don't play around. Suddenly, Sanjian shouted. Ion! Surprised, Yan-chan looked up. From above, silhouetted against the sun, Sanjian raised his massive sword, ready to strike. Yan-chan froze. He hadn't even had time to react. Sanjian's eyes flared as he declared, I don't play around either. Even if you beg, I won't show mercy. Yan-chan. Scene shift. In a certain room, a television displayed the live broadcast of the duel. Ms. holding the remote, eyes wide in shock, exclaimed, Sanjian. Miso sat on the sofa watching the live stream, confused and wondering what was going on. From the screen, Songyun's voice echoed, Even if you beg, don't expect forgiveness. After her initial shock, her eyes now fixated more intently on the battle. She suddenly recognized a familiar face. Wait, isn't that Choi Yong-cheon from the Utopia Guild? He's a B-rank player, but quite famous because his uncle is the guild master. Why is he with Sangyun? Just then, a girl in workout clothes came out and looked toward her, asking, Miso, what's going on? She immediately turned and called her sis. This woman was a guild member, an S-rank player, a top-tier assassin. Dressed provocatively, she curiously asked Miso, Why are you frowning like that? Tae-deon noticed that a sparring match was about to start and suddenly blurted out, Isn't that the guy you're trying to recruit? She walked over to the sofa and asked, That's him, right? Miso replied frankly, Yes, Sangyun. But I don't know why he's there. TJ observed the fight and smiled with an impressed tone. His movements are sharp. Back on the battlefield, Yong-cheon angrily shouted, You bastard! As Songyun's sword slashed down with a powerful shockwave, Yong-cheon, with the reflexes of a seasoned rank B player, jumped up in time to dodge and cursed him again. Then he reached back, summoned a fireball, and roared, You've really crossed the line now. With that, he hurled the fireball forward, creating a streak of light. On the other side, Sangyun calmly raised his eyes toward the fireball that was already closing in on him. Unshaken, he gripped his greatsword and swiftly swung it, slicing through the fireball and neutralizing the threat. His swift and decisive move caught Yong-cheon off guard. But Sangyun wasn't done. He dashed forward, dragging his sword along and cleaving the fireball in two. The twin flames flew behind him and exploded with a deafening bang. For a normal rookie, that previous attack would have been a fatal hit. Watching live, Seo-ho couldn't help but exclaim, What's with that guy? In the chat, someone asked when Yong-cheon would finally get smacked. Another viewer named Jom was stunned. How did he do that? After neutralizing a deadly blow from a level 100 rank B player, Sangyun began to focus. A smile spread across his face. He was exhilarated. Finally, since his regression, his body was moving exactly how he wanted. He recalled a conversation with D-Dung 3 hours earlier, when he told the appraiser, Thanks to your cooperation, the process finished quickly today. Great job. She smiled and waved modestly. Not really. You guys worked hard too. I gained a lot from it as well. D-Kung laughed loudly. Days like these call for drinking. You should join us. The appraiser seemed excited. Really? After selling off a bunch of artifacts, he said to her, We've got the money now. Eat whatever you want. Salmon sashimi, she replied excitedly. But Sangyun quickly scratched his head and declined. Sorry, I have plans. You two go ahead. Hearing that, Daeyoung shouted, Hey, what's with you? Are we bothering you or something? Sangyun just ruffled his own hair awkwardly. No, really. I just have something important to do. He tried to explain himself sincerely. I already made plans. I'm sorry. Daeyoung finally cooled down. Is that so? Then I can't say anything. He turned to the appraiser. Looks like it's just the two of us now. Huh, she exclaimed, startled. What am I doing? I forgot I have something important to take care of. Meanwhile, Sangyun looked into his shopping bag and smiled with satisfaction. To him, what he had now was far more precious than any drink. After seeing him firmly refuse, the appraiser girl ran off. Well then, I'm off, leaving D-Kion dumbfounded and unable to react. A short time later, inside a small rest hut in the park, Sangyun sat with his bag of goods. He sighed. Preparing to absorb all of this made him feel a bit tense. Based on the absorption rate, his basic stat absorption would normally be around 10%, but thanks to an earlier activation, the final absorption rate had reached 90%. Upon hearing this from the goddess of fortune, Sangyun exclaimed in surprise, "A full 90%? The goddess was convinced that all this good fortune was thanks to her. Sangyun smiled happily. Usually I'm stuck with just 10% because of the cap, but apparently gear handled by an official appraiser is on a whole different level. He looked up at the goddess of fortune and asked, "By the way, I wanted to ask you something. You're really famous among the constellations, right?" Sangyun couldn't forget the constellation he made a contract with in his past life, so he asked, "Have you ever heard of a constellation named the late-blooming model student?" Jealousy flared. The goddess pointed her finger at him angrily. "The goddess of fortune is furious that you're paying attention to another constellation." Sangyun quickly waved his hands, trying to explain, "I was just asking. I didn't mean anything by it." He was being scolded harshly for caring about other divine relics. His voice turned soft and unsure, making the goddess pause. He awkwardly rubbed his head and said, "It's just that constellation meant something to me." Then he smiled gently and spoke sincerely. "But I didn't expect you to get so upset. I'm sorry. Please forget it." Immediately, the goddess of fortune forgave him. Because of her generosity, she even offered to search for that constellation for him. Hearing that, Sangyun was overjoyed. "Really? Thank you, goddess." Right after, he pulled out a bracelet and said, "All right, in that case, I can finally go all in on this." As he spoke, the bracelet lit up with a dazzling glow. Mana began sinking with the 5 artifacts. Those artifacts slowly transformed into delicious dishes, from crispy fried pork rice to spicy stir-fried beef. Then came a hearty mushroom meat porridge, golden crispy fried chicken, and finally braised pork belly. Looking at the 5 ultimate dishes of mankind, Sangyun drooled. He smiled to himself. No matter how surreal the artifacts were, he never expected a feast to look this tempting. He absolutely loved it. Looking down, he muttered, "With an absorption rate over 90%, once this ends, who knows how strong I'll become. It's impossible to predict." Back to the battlefield. A notification popped up. True rivalry title activated. Player Yong Cheon isolated. No allies detected within a 5-meter radius. True rivalry instincts activated. Sangyun stared coldly at his opponent. "Feels warm, doesn't it?" Quick glance at player info. Name Shin Sangyun. Titles, True Rival and 6 others. Constellation, Goddess of Fortune. Unique skill, Gourmet Devourer. Number of artifacts consumed, 17. At that moment, Yong Cheon kept his head down, hiding under his hood and trembling. The chat was full of mocking comments. "He's flustered. Legendary Kosuho. Did Yong run out of gas?" Just as they thought he was afraid, Yong Cheon suddenly roared, "You bastard!" and charged straight at our protagonist. Sangyun stood there calmly, resting on his sword. Watching the live stream, Miso shouted anxiously, "Sangyun, watch out!" TJ, sitting next to her, calmly replied, "Don't worry." She smiled. With the eyes of an assassin and the experience of a level 700 player, she was certain he would dodge it. On the field, Sangyun charged forward and smirked. "You haven't forgotten the deal, right?" Yong Cheon surrounded himself with 3 fire rings, ready to defend. Meanwhile, Sangyun sprinted in with terrifying speed, shouting in excitement, "For 500 million, I'm taking that arm of yours." Outside, Se-Ong-ho grinned mischievously, a wave of thrill running through his mind. "Yes, go for it. I've got you now." Just then, Sangyun suddenly stopped. His foot had stepped on something, causing the ground to flash. A trap had activated, restricting his movement. From the other side, Yong Cheon finally smiled. It looked like another dirty trick laid out in advance by their side. He rushed in front of Sangyun, smirking creepily and flipping him off. "I win, you idiot." Right at this moment, our hero is being restrained in the middle of a magic circle, while the training mode also issues a notification. Conditions met. Player Sanjian, the forced freeze skill has been activated. Immediately, ice blocks begin to emerge from the ground, encroaching upon his body, leaving him stunned. On the sidelines, Taedi can't help but marvel. So, he can use magic other than burning? Not bad at all. Suddenly, Miso smirks mysteriously and says, "Hey, Chi, don't be too surprised." She pats her chest confidently, brimming with pride. Sanjian can even use status effect cancellation. Don't underestimate my judgment. You'll see why I wanted to test him like this. Miso glances at the screen, adding a reminder to her sister, Tae-di, to watch closely. Through the live stream, the ice has now almost completely enveloped Sanjian's body. At this point, only a small gap remains in front of his face, accompanied by Miso's voice calling his name. Back at the arena, Yan-chan stares at the ice block in front of him, startled and confused. What the hell is this? Where's that bastard? Sweating profusely, he wonders to himself. The skill was definitely activated. Unless he has status effect cancellation, there's no way he could escape. While Yan-chan is still doubtful, wondering if this guy is really a newbie, Sanjian suddenly appears behind him, leaping down from above with a sword in hand, ready to strike. The greatsword plunges straight into Yan-chan's back, slamming his entire body to the ground, shattering the surroundings. However, something blocks the damage, and only a pained grunt escapes Yan-chan's mouth. Sanjian realizes he can't pierce through Yan-chan's body and mutters in frustration. What the hell? He notices an invisible barrier slowly forming at the tip of his sword, preventing it from penetrating Yan-chan's back. He can only speculate. Looks like training mode saved your life, huh? It can prevent fatal damage thanks to the training mode. Witnessing this, Se-ong-ho, standing on the sidelines, can only gape and shout Yan-chan's name. The audience is equally shocked. Viewers watching the live stream flood the comments, marveling at Xian Sanjian's abilities. Some suspect he just used status effect cancellation, while others notice something else. Xian Sanjian seems different from before. This realization makes Se-ong-ho pause and reflect. Come to think of it, that bastard's aura is completely different now. Indeed, as Sanjian stands over Yan-chan with his sword, he exudes a fierce, deadly presence. Se-ong-ho, observing his commanding demeanor, wonders what trick he's pulled off. Tae-di, focusing intently, speculates, it seems like some kind of awakening skill. Miso, puzzled, asks, awakening skill? Tae-di immediately responds, yeah, it's likely a branch of transcendence or illusion. Look at those black pupils, it's probably illusion. She adds, from what I know, taking damage from that skill causes severe exhaustion. Is he so confident he can take them down without getting hit? That's some real confidence. Miso gives a wry smile and replies, no way, Chihi's different sure, but he's never used that kind of skill around me, and it's hard to activate. Tae-di, lowering her voice, concludes, then it's one of two things. Either he had no reason to use it around you, or… Miso finishes her thought. He didn't have it at all. Reflecting on what she's heard and the live battle she just witnessed, she falls into deep thought and says, there's another possibility. He found a way to acquire it in a short time. The scene shifts to an office where an appraiser sits at a desk, holding a file. She's focused on reading something, her face showing concern as she furrows her brow and mutters, here it is. Looking at the information, she says, the artifact Xian Sanjian just bought, that item requires a test of latent potential? It says here, this bracelet is said to have been left by the gods, but it requires great luck to obtain it. The file details a bracelet-type equipment with a 0.02% chance of having a hidden skill called illusion. The appraiser ponders, a hidden skill with such a low probability? Impossible. If he overcame those odds, it's like he was chosen by the god of luck. Unbeknownst to her, Sanjian truly has the god of luck backing him. The hidden skill's details, an enhanced awakening skill with a 1-hour cooldown at level 1. When activated, it fully restores HP and enters an awakened state for 100 seconds. Physical and mental abilities surpass their limits, entering a near-frenzied state. In this awakened state, decisions, actions, and information processing become far faster than normal. When the illusion effect ends, the user falls into extreme exhaustion for 10 minutes due to accumulated damage. At that moment, Sanjian's eyes flash with a deadly glint, his ferocious demeanor gripping the greatsword as he asks, what about our bet? Or should we turn off training mode and try again? Yan-chan lies helplessly, teeth clenched, drool dripping, his brow furrowed, the ground beneath him shattered from the force of the strike and his own weight. But a rank B player isn't to be underestimated. Yan-chan slams his hand into the ground, mana bursting out dazzlingly. He struggles to rise, the force pushing Sanjian back, while his bulky body leaps to the side. Yan-chan thinks to himself, damn it, that bastard. I let my guard down thinking he was a newbie, but he's at this level. Time to get serious. Clutching his aching shoulder, he jumps back, calculating. First, he needs to create distance. But wait, will that even work? Isn't this completely different from what that bastard Seongho said? Yan Chan grits his teeth, cursing himself. If he'd known this guy was this strong, he wouldn't have started this fight. He glances down at his lackey live streaming below, the audience shielding their faces from the dust. Yan Chan wonders, could that bastard? He spits out a few incoherent curses. Meanwhile, Seongho looks away, avoiding his gaze. Not letting Yan Chan wait long, Sanjian's face darkens as he charges forward, shouting, "It's over!" As Yan Chan's face is grabbed, he tries to yell, "You bastard!" Sanjian slams his head into the ground, shattering it, and declares, "This is the finale." Coldly, he adds, "Don't worry, thanks to training mode, you'll avoid fatal injuries." Yan Chan senses something's wrong and immediately screams his surrender. "Wait, you win, all right? I'll transfer you 500 million right now." Sanjian smirks, raising a fist brimming with killing intent, still gripping Yan Chan tightly with his other hand, and says, "Good, the bet's settled. Now it's personal." Yan Chan screams in confusion. "Personal? What the hell, you bastard?" Sanjian grits his teeth in fury and retorts, "What for?" Through the gaps in his fingers, Yan Chan's terrified eyes are clearly visible. Sanjian explains, "For why I started this in the first place." The scene flashes back 3 days earlier at an auto repair shop. A mechanic looks at an iPad and says, "We've fixed it, but you might have to let it go soon." Puzzled, Sanjian asks, "Let it go?" The mechanic nods, "Sign here." "It's too old." Sanjian looks at him, confused. "No way." The mechanic adds, "I know you're attached to it, but it's time to say goodbye." Sanjian gazes at the car as the mechanic's voice continues. "It's taken you everywhere all this time. I'm sure it's happy too." These words spark Sanjian's imagination about what the car might say. "Yes, Sanjian, I've loved carrying you everywhere all this time." Though motionless, the car seems to leave a message. You have to live happily too. Back in the present, Sanjian raises his fist, shouting, "This is revenge for my beloved junkyard car, you bastard." Before the blow lands, Yan Chan, terrified by Sanjian's enraged expression, cries out with tears streaming, "No, damn it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry." The audience watches in stunned silence, barely believing what they're seeing and hearing. A guy in a green shirt covers his face, exclaiming, "What the hell?" Before Sanjian can land the punch, the crowd's reaction makes him pause. He seems to sense something. The contrast is stark, Sanjian radiating murderous intent, while Yan Chan is scared witless. The livestream comments explode, some with ellipses, others with disappointment. Some of Yan Chan's fans accuse Sanjian of going too far. Yan Chan raises a trembling hand, sobbing, "I'm sorry, I'm really sorry." After today, he might live a reformed life, too scared to ever be a YouTuber again. The stench of the mess Yan Chan made causes the audience to cover their noses and murmur. "This smell is absolutely vile, isn't it?" He must have been so scared he crapped his pants. Seongho's face darkens with worry as he mutters to himself, "Damn it, what do I do now? Maybe I should just abandon this YouTube channel. I messed with someone I shouldn't have." At that moment, a man approaches him and asks, "You're Sugo, right?" Startled, Seongho turns and exclaims, "Guild Master." The man is Mun Hyan, the administrator of the Gangdong region for the Utopia Guild. Standing there, he says, "You guys have caused quite a mess here, haven't you?" His resolute and stern gaze makes Seongho nervous, prompting a quick, "Sorry, sir." Baek-hun notices Sanjian standing nearby and assesses the situation. "This is quite interesting. I heard he just awakened but managed to defeat Yan Chan, a seasoned awakener. Let's see what kind of person he is." He calls out, "You're Xan Sanjian, right?" The sudden call startles Sanjian. The man steps forward and explains, "I'm here regarding the cleanup of this scene and compensation for what you've been through. Do you have time to talk?" Sanjian responds bluntly, "Could you please tell me your name and guild?" Caught off guard by the directness, Bun frowns slightly, thinking, "What's with this arrogance?" But then he reconsiders, "No, wait, it's not arrogance. It's composure, like a player who's walked through hell and back." His skills and aura far surpass those of his level. Baek-hun bows slightly and introduces himself. "I'm Moon Baek-hun, administrator of the Gangdong region for the Utopia Guild. My apologies for the late introduction." Sanjian replies calmly, "I see." Meanwhile, Baek-hun thinks to himself, the guild needs to recruit this guy at all costs. Confidently, Bun declares, "The Utopia Guild will cover all compensation for your losses." Sanjian, surprised, asks, "What? For real?" Bun thinks a little resource loss is fine as long as I show goodwill and build a connection with him. Sanjian quickly pulls out his phone and throws out a figure. All right, let's make it simple. Transfer me 20 billion. Here's my account number. I think this amount is reasonable, considering the emotional distress and everything from this incident. Baek Hun, shocked, exclaims, 20 billion? After a moment of thought, he tries to negotiate. No chance for a discount? Or how about I let you do whatever you want with that poop-stained guy? The scene shifts to a room where Sanjian's muttering can be heard from outside. God, when will they leave? At the same time, someone shouts, there's Sanjian. Outside the door, a barrage of questions follows. Sanjian, has the Utopia Guild settled your compensation? Have you still not contacted Kim Miso? Are you sure you're not involved with any shady guilds? Losing his patience, Sanjian yells, for heaven's sake, do you plan to stay here forever? He opens the door, steps in, and continues. No, absolutely not. Please, just leave me alone. Voices from outside persist. Were you on your way back from training? Behind the door, a swarm of reporters thrusts microphones forward, saying, Sanjian, the public has a right to know what's going on with you. Please stop dodging and answer our questions. Is it true you're dating Kim Miso? Sanjian sighs, glares at them, and retorts. The public's right to know? Since when does that include my personal life? He steps inside, removes his jacket, and mutters to himself. Am I not exhausted enough already? Dating in my situation. Then our hero flashes a radiant smile and says aloud, all right, it's time to get ready. Before him lies a neatly arranged set of clothes, a dress shirt, a vest, a wallet, and a sleek, elegant sword, much slimmer than his great sword. The sight of the shirt reminds him, today's an important day, Sanjian. Sitting there, he slaps his thigh and says, I can't believe the gate raid Miso suggested is coming up so soon. This past week has been pure chaos. Now I need to prepare for this event. Smiling to himself, Sanjian adds, I hope it goes as planned. I didn't expect the items I bought to arrive so quickly. That was fast. His status screen appears. Strength 100, Stamina 109, Agility 33, Magic 71, Luck 167, Evasion 30, Defense 62, no unallocated stat points. Talking to himself excitedly, he says, not to mention, I leveled up after that last fight with the boss. My dual sword skill leveled up too. With the overwhelming impact title effect, it's about 2.6 seconds, right? If I stack it with effects lasting over 5 seconds, depending on the opponent, I'll have a huge advantage. Demon Smasher, a hidden skill with a stun effect, 15-second cooldown per target, level 2 skill causing a 2.4-second stun on monsters or players, though the duration and success rate depend on the target's resistance. He continues, dual sword passive skill, basic swordsmanship level 2, significantly improves adaptability with all sword types except daggers and longswords. Sanjian flashes a sly grin and doesn't stop there. Let's check the results I've achieved. He quickly taps the notification screen. Superior swordsmanship, passive skill, basic swordsmanship level 1, improves proficiency with daggers and longswords. Full acceleration, movement skill level 1, focuses immense strength to charge and attack instantly. The longer the charge, the greater the damage and distance, but movement is impossible while charging. He exhales confidently. With this skill set, I can conquer the gate. With a secondary weapon and mobility skills, it's perfect. Suddenly, Sanjian grows pensive. In past battles, I exposed a lot of weaknesses. I can't repeat those mistakes. He recalls facing the Wolf Lord, where he had to take risks due to limitations in his attack style and skill effects to win. The fight with Yan Chan was similar. Sanjian fell into his trap, easily due to a lack of mobility skills. A worried expression crosses his face as he thinks. In other words, if the opponent had been slightly stronger, I might have died. He resolves, I need to stay sharp. At this pace, I need to train harder, or I'll just repeat past failures. In his previous life, the catastrophe of 2040 happened, so this time, he vows to ensure the future changes. Sitting in silence, Sanjian realizes he can't lose everything again. His face radiates determination, his eyes resolute as he reminds himself, this time, it's different. In this life, I have to become much stronger. The image of the swordsman who saved him as a child in the orphanage flashes in his mind. From then on, Sanjian understood his purpose. With that figure as his role model, he must become just as strong. As he reflects, his phone suddenly rings. Glancing down, he picks it up and answers, hello. The voice on the other end introduces itself. Hello, Sanjian. This is reporter Parn. He explains, I'm calling about the interview we mentioned earlier today. Just confirming you're still free. This catches Sanjian off guard, and he hurriedly asks, Of course, it's still early, right? Dongmin replies, Exactly. Meet me at the cafe I mentioned before. With so much going on, Sanjian had forgotten about this. He gives a wry smile, looking at his phone. The gate raid is at 7 p.m., and the interview is at 2 p.m. He freezes, realizing it's 1:45 p.m. The scene shifts to the apartment hallway, where reporters are eating, laughing, and chatting. Seeing the door open, they bombard him. Sanjian, you're here. Come on, tell us about your romance with Kim Miso. Standing at the door, Sanjian exudes a strange, eerie aura. Noticing his state, someone inside exclaims, Sanjian. He shouts a warning. Everyone, get out of the way. Simultaneously, his skill activates, enhancing his body and drastically boosting his speed. Turns out, our hero is rushing to the interview. At the meeting spot, Dongmin checks his phone. A staff member's greeting catches his attention. Welcome. Seeing Sanjian, Dongmin waves. Sanjian, over here. I've ordered coffee, just sit down. Noticing Sanjian's state, as if he's just been through a battle, Dongmin asks curiously, Why do you look so tense? Sanjian, panting and trying to regain composure, replies, It's nothing. Dongmin asks bluntly, Just came out of a dungeon? Sanjian responds, Nah, not really, thinking to himself. Running here was more exhausting than a dungeon. After sitting down, he says politely, Sorry for being late. Jean smiles, no worries. I originally planned to interview you about your previous mission, but now there's something bigger. Surprised, Sanjian asks, Huh? What's that? Jean explains, Sanjian, you haven't realized it yet, but this is huge in the global player community. People used to focus on player levels as a measure of strength, but you're an exception. Low level yet incredibly powerful. Everyone's calling you the legendary rookie. Sanjian, sipping water, listens intently, then sets the glass down and brushes it off. Come on, it's not that big a deal. Dongmin continues. Oh, and you know it's not just players, guilds are eyeing you too. Sanjian thinks, lately, I've been getting a lot of affectionate calls. The Eden Guild's logo flashes in his mind. He asks the reporter, Are you talking about hot news with Utopia or other guilds? Dongmin replies frankly, No, I mean foreign guilds too. This stuns Sanjian, who lets out a surprised, Huh. The reporter continues, Just this morning, you probably haven't heard. 5 foreign guilds submitted requests to the Korean Players Association for information about you. Jean raises a hand, adding, Foreign guilds usually recruit high-level awakeners, but no one's ever seen a rookie like you get this much attention. You should be more cautious now. These warnings make Sanjian sit in quiet thought, slightly worried. The reporter adds, A lot of people want to know who you are. The scene shifts to the area near Chun-Nui Station, where a spatial gate has appeared in an alley. Sanjian steps in, his mind racing. Damn it, I was planning to form my own guild and conquer dungeons solo. But foreign guilds sound tempting. Their scale is on another level, and their resources are insane. He sighs, reflecting, looking back. I was treated so poorly before, wasn't I? Man, it still hurts to think about. Just then a voice calls out, Sanjian. He turns to greet Kim Miso, who waves and says, Long time no see. This way. She adds, We've got a bit of time before the gate raid starts, so you two should get acquainted. This catches him off guard. Miso has brought her sister, a level 700 super assassin. Tae-Di stands there with a friendly smile, while Sanjian, utterly confused, wonders, who is she?